So, Sarah, it's the end of another year.
Mm-hmm.
Started a bit of a tradition last year, didn't we? 2023, we went to the pub.
Yeah.
And then we came back home and we recorded our top 5.
What a coincidence. That's what we did today.
Yes, but we haven't recorded yet. We are doing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have wented to the pub already.
We wented.
And we are now sitting down with what's that drink you made us?
A godfather.
A godfather.
A double godfather.
Double, you said.
Well, it's technically a double godfather, but there are 4 shots in it.
It's a quadfather.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah, so last year I revisited the episode just to remind myself of what we did. But last year, what we did is we came up with our top 5s separately. I did my list and you did your list. And then we tried to come up with a combined top 5.
Yep.
And then we just sort of spoke about the year in movies and stuff like that. So we're going to do the same again now.
Sounds good.
Should we start by talking about the year as a whole? I've written down 2023, but it's actually 2024.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. Start with errors. How did you feel about this year in general, without getting into specifics? Because obviously we're going to get into our lists.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the year as a whole in terms of new movie releases?
Well, I spent most of the year thinking it's been pretty strong. Like I was under the impression like, yeah, this has been a really good year for movies. And then it came time to do my top 5s. Right. And I think my shortlist for worst of the year was longer than my shortlist for best of the year, which tells you so much, I think. What about you?
Well, when you said to me that your worst of the year was quite a long list, I was like, oh, is it? I was quite surprised. And then when I really sat down to finalise my notes the other night, I was like, yeah, you're right. I've got like 100 for worst.
I feel like this year, more than any in recent memory, I've either loved films or really disliked films. I don't want to say hated because hate's a strong word. However, normally there's a lot of films that I'm fairly meh about, and I didn't find that so much this year.
I did find that I was a bit meh about quite a few. I've sort of run the spread, really. I've got my top 5s, which we'll get into, but they're all like 4.5s and 5s.
4.5s and 5s, okay.
And then I've got a bunch of 4s, like loads of 4s.
That's good.
Quite a few 3s and 2s. But I think this year has been, I think in many ways opposite to last year, for me anyway. Like last year, I feel like it started really bad and then got better throughout the year.
Oh yeah, this year's definitely, it started strong and the second half's not been nearly as good.
Yeah. Like
agreed, yeah.
The first 6 months, like, I wonder if all of... but the first 6 months, yeah, were really strong. And then there was a few more in like July, August, September. But then I feel like from October, maybe a few outliers, definitely November and December, for me, just nothing. Completely barren. It's
been pretty bland. I mean, unless you're a fan of Broadway musicals and or Roman-based historical epics.
I only watch Roman-based historical epics. It's my favourite genre of movie.
I say historical because I'm not quite sure how accurate some of that was. Sharks in a Colosseum, you say?
I'm very sure how accurate that movie is to history.
Is it 0%?
Yes, 0 accuracy. But yeah, the year started strong and then it sort of tapered out a bit for me.
Yeah, me too.
Unfortunately. But there's a bunch of stuff that I'm really keen to talk about today, so I'm looking forward to getting into that. I was going to say outside of movies, but we don't really have any interests outside of movies, so that's a bit of a moot
We
point.
also watch television. How dare you? Our interests are wide and varied.
I've got a couple of highlights from the year,
okay,
if you will, for us personally. We've done a few quizzes. We've done a few pub quizzes.
Yeah, we've done 2 at a cinema.
We've done 2 at the cinema. We usually do a couple of pub quizzes a year at our local, whatever, the pub around the corner, and we're like always last because you have to know stuff about.
We're never last. How dare you? We're never anywhere near first, but we're never last.
But the questions are really hard. Like,
yeah.
Who's that bloke from the UN?
Yeah. It's rare. You have to really, really be up on current events.
But I'm surprised we've not done it before, but we did a Halloween film quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Quiz. We did a
quiz.
Film quiz, yeah.
What's a quiz?
It's when you answer the questions, it's called a quiz. We did a Halloween film quiz at the our local Curzon, and we won.
We did. I was pretty confident about that one.
Were you?
The Halloween one?
Mm.
Yeah, it was mostly horror films.
Yeah, I mean, I was confident.
I was a machine that night.
Yeah, you absolutely held the team up. And shout out Lindsay for the music round.
Lindsay was our secret weapon because anything animation or music, she definitely propped us up there.
Yeah. But I was pretty useless on that. And I was confident in your ability and you'd get a lot right, but I didn't know how much other people would know. Maybe we've got some aces. But we ended up winning it, and that was great.
By a country mile, I think we should add as well.
Yeah. And then we did another one just a few days ago. We did the Christmas one. And
Quizmas.
Quizmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a Quizmas one. And I wasn't as confident in that. I was even less confident in that one because I felt like we didn't answer that many correctly.
No, we didn't.
And it was really hard. It was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Well, do you know what? I think the thing that tripped us up was that it wasn't that much to do with films, which is sort of questionable advertising. If you're a cinema and you're putting on a Christmas quiz, I expect at least one question about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
And yet there were none.
Yeah, because I was watching like Christmas movie quizzes on YouTube and stuff, and it was always
trying to bone up.
Always Elf or National Lampoon.
Or Home Alone.
Yeah, or Home Alone. But there was like questions about what is the Christmas tradition in Scandinavia for, and I'm like, I don't know that. That's culture stuff. It was hard, but we got to the end, and I was pretty confident we were probably going to come. There was 4 teams, right? I thought we were going to be 4th or 3rd, perhaps.
Yeah, me too.
They called 4th.
One round, we got 1 point.
Yeah. They called 4th, wasn't us. They called 3rd, wasn't us. Right, all right.
It was like, cool, tasty 2nd.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get a poster. Sweet.
Yeah.
Called 2nd, wasn't us. And we were like, I think we just blankly started looking at each other and scratching each other.
They've made a mistake.
Scratching each other's heads, I was going to say. That would be weird. But but we won that one as well. And I'm just very surprised. But I don't think I've ever won a quiz before.
Well, we're on a roll now.
Yeah, we've got to do another one.
My mission in life is to win so many that they ban us.
Yeah.
That's my new goal.
Yeah.
You can't say I'm not ambitious.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be around for the next one at Easter.
Oh, yeah.
I won't be able to go. But you could always like FaceTime me and I can be a personality on the screen.
That's true.
What else have we done? Do you remember when we went to the cinema to see Civil War?
I do.
And there was a really drunk guy. And it wasn't late. It was like 4 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
And he was so pissed. And he was sitting in
He
the
moved
seat.
seats 3 times before the film started.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right. And he was just being quiet. He didn't seem like aggressive or anything, but he was just quite drunk. And sometimes when you're drunk, you can be a bit obnoxious, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
And he was sitting in his seat and being a bit loud and stuff. And someone came in to check his ticket. And I thought for sure he didn't have a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
But he checked his ticket and he had one. And I'm thinking, what? Why are you getting drunk at 4 p.m. going to watch an Alex Garland movie?
What series of events has led you here, sir?
Yeah, I want to see that movie.
Yeah.
And then that was very amusing. And it got to, I want to say maybe like halfway through the movie or something. I'm not going to spoil it, but something happens in it. And it's a really like a shocking thing, a surprising thing, at least like with noise. That's the right
It was
phrase.
Loud, yeah.
It was loud. It was a loud bit, yeah. And he like just startled himself awake because I think he'd been sleeping.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, why are you getting really drunk, going to see an Alex Garland movie and having a kip? What a day.
If you're going to have a sleep through an Alex Garland movie, at least make sure it's men.
Yeah. But you're like, why are you paying? It's not cheap to go to the cinema. Why are you doing that?
Maybe he got kicked out of his house by his lady friend and he was like, I'm knackered. Oh, I know where I can go for a kip.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm going to get some cans of Stella on the way, neck a 4-pack or whatever, and then get a Negroni at the cinema. He didn't get a Negroni. I think he still had his beers from his rucksack. Every now and again you hear a
Yeah.
like, oh, contraband. So that was fun. We saw some older movies. I think I'm so glad that cinemas are doing this now. Like, it didn't used to happen, but more and more local cinemas are starting to show older movies, whether it's part of a season or a theme or something. I got to see Speed for the first time at the cinema in Scotland when I was working up there, and that was glorious. But you and I also went to see a few things. Around Halloween time, we saw 2001, A Space Odyssey, Suspiria, and The Shining.
Oh, that was such a good night.
Yeah, that's right. We did 2001 on one night, and then it was actually Halloween night, wasn't it? We saw Suspiria and The Shining.
Back to back.
Double bill.
Such a good night.
I think we had like an hour in between movies, so we went to the pub and got another drink. But what?
And then an Irish folk band followed us in there, so we made a swift exit.
Yeah. And I got told off by that bloke because I didn't close the door at the cinema.
Oh, yeah.
I had to get back up and close that door. But what a week, like seeing all three of those in 1 week was just unreal. Like, I'm so glad that we did that. And the last thing we did was, for your birthday, we went to Broadstairs, didn't we? And you noticed that the cinema, the Palace Cinema, shout out, was showing Santa Sangre.
Yep.
With a Q&A with the composer and of that movie.
Yeah, if a different movie would be strange.
And we went to see that. Very cute little cinema, like lots of character.
Adorable little boutique cinema. And when I say little, I mean like you have to duck when you go through the door.
Yeah. Really, really nice.
So cute.
I'm surprised that we've never heard of it before, never seen it before. Or maybe
I'd been past it, right. But I didn't know that they did. I didn't know they did events or like older screenings, because that was part of their Broad Scares season. They'd been screening older horror films for 3 months, and we sort of caught the tail end of it. So I'll be definitely keeping an eye on those listings next year.
Yeah, they are showing Nosferatu at some point, and they did tease that there's going to be a Q&A, and they did qualify it's not going to be Robert Eggers.
No, Eggers.
But yeah, that was really great. I'm really glad. Whatever my thoughts are on the movie, and my thoughts are mostly question mark.
I fucking love Santa Sangre so much.
It's bizarre.
It's unique.
I think I enjoyed it more the second time round.
Did you?
Because I knew what it was. The first time I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Fair.
So I knew what to expect second time round. So because I knew the beats of it, and this happens all the time, particularly with weird films, because
with
I knew
the Shining
beats
as
of it.
well.
Yeah, I enjoyed Shining way more as well. Like I feel like we've seen it twice together now, and it used to be a movie that I thought was all right. But the more I see it, the more I can sort of, and I'm kind of resistant, but the more like I watch it, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see what everyone's talking about with this.
Yeah.
And when we saw it at cinema particularly as well, where you can't look at your phone, everyone's there and it's like quiet at the quiet bits and reactions
can hear a pin
at
drop.
the good bits. Yeah. It's it was quite something to watch it, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I am enjoying revisiting some of these older movies.
Yeah, there's been a few dotted around throughout the year as well. I got to see The Virgin Suicides.
Oh yeah, was that this year?
That was this year. Yeah,
I thought that was last year. Did
that
I
was
not
this
come
year.
with you for that?
You did, yeah. I thought that was this year. Oh, don't tell me that was last year.
I think that was last year.
Seriously?
I think so.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there was a bunch over summer as well, because the Curzon had an outdoor screen.
I completely forgot about that.
I know you saw the Blues Brothers, and we saw Baby Driver and Labyrinth together.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I'm keen to see what they screen next year.
Yeah, hopefully they do it again. I think they will, because it seemed like it was kind of successful.
Yeah.
It was always fairly busy, apart from, was it Labyrinth when it was raining? Or no, it was...
No, Labyrinth, it was lovely. It was Baby Driver.
Right. I think,
and it was chucking it down. The chairs were wet. And...
Yeah. But to be fair, they sorted us out, and they got us some dry chairs. But yeah, there are fewer people at that one. But yeah, I mean, it's Baby Driver. Like I'd watch that if it was raining turds out the sky.
I don't know. I think I'd draw the line there. Is that what happens when you watch a Kevin Spacey movie these days? Turds rain from the sky.
Yeah.
Like a biblical plague.
Yeah, that's canon. Yeah. Let's have you got a brolly?
Somewhere.
Well, let's fish that out and watch The Negotiator later.
Okay. We'll test that theory.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I just wanted to sort of talk about some of the things that we did that were movie related this year. And yeah, seeing old movies on the big screen, great. Can't beat it.
Yeah. We kept an eye on the Action Festival as well, but they didn't do a festival proper like they did last year. But hopefully we'll keep our ears to the ground, and hopefully they might do something next year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hopefully. Right, shall we get into our top fives?
Yeah, we should. God, this was an arduous task.
It was difficult. Yeah. It was difficult last year, and it's going to be difficult again now. So last year we did it was our first ever top five. It was our first year of podcasting. And we decided what our combined top five were. We did a separate list and then we combined them. So I'm just going to run through what our top five was of last year. Combined. So at number 5, we had Saltburn.
Okay.
At number 4, we had Dumb Money.
Yep.
At number 3, we had Blackberry.
Oh, yeah.
Which should have been number 1. At number 2, we had Bottoms.
Yep.
And at number 1, we had When Evil Lurks.
What a weird list.
A very strange list, yeah.
I don't know. In hindsight, I don't know that I would fight for Saltburn to be at 5.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it since last year. But I don't know. I don't know why I went so hard to bat for that film.
You saw it a couple of times, didn't you?
I did. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it. But I don't know if it belongs in the top 5.
Well, I'm glad you're telling me this now and not last year when we were coming up with our list.
We all make mistakes, Dan. Give me some grace.
But somehow we're going to attempt to come up with another combined top 5.
I think it's going to be so much more difficult this year.
I think it's going to be as difficult.
I think it's going to be more difficult.
I think it's going to be as difficult.
Do you think we're going to have any that are the same?
Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Okay.
I know my answer to that question, but I don't want to give anything away. So in order to come up with our combined top 5, first we must tell each other what our actual top 5s are. And then we're going to sort of do a thing. Toss the monkey, I think I suggested last year, but you weren't into it.
We don't have a monkey.
You weren't into it for some reason. Did I not tell you about the monkey?
We don't have a monkey, and even if we did, I wouldn't want to toss it.
What we're going to do then is I'm going to start with my top 5. I'm going to say my number 5.
Okay.
And if it's in your list...
Right, yeah, I remember.
Then we'll talk about it when we get to that number in your list. If it's not in your list, then I'm going to talk about it a little bit.
Okay, and I just would like to just address this before we get really stuck in. It's you that's insisted on a numerical value. I really struggle to sort of put things in order. Because initially, about how dare you?
Sorry, that was really gay.
About 5 minutes before we started recording, you were like, "Oh yeah, you need to have them like 1 to 5," and I was like, oh, "For fuck's sake!" I just had 5, so I've assigned random numbers to my top 5. I don't know if I would stick to it if given longer to think about it.
Okay. Just before we move on,
more disclaimers.
I'm going to say that 5 minutes before we were recording, correct, I did say, yes, we need to number them. But that's because you asked me if we need to number them in order. And I said, yes, like we did last year.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to be unprepared. So there are numbers. Okay. I'm not unprepared.
But I'm saying you had a year to prepare.
I've not had a year. Well, no, I'm not going to give anything away.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so I'm going to start with my number 5. Okay, and this was the hardest spot. The others were quite easy to decide, but number 5 could have been maybe 10 different movies.
Yeah, everything that isn't in 1 to 4 is a consideration for 5, right?
Yes, I suppose so. But for me personally, I just was like, oh, there could be a bunch here that could be at that spot.
Okay.
So my number 5 is Civil War.
Okay.
The Alex Garland movie. Is it in your list?
No.
Okay. So
hang on. No.
You had to check your list, right? Okay. So I really, really liked this.
Yeah.
Despite the very drunk man being shook and awake when there was a loud noise.
Despite Mr. Stella Artois himself.
Yeah. I really liked this a lot. I was really looking forward to it. A bit biased, maybe, because I do really love Garland's work. And really looking forward to it. Loved the trailer. Watched it. I thought it was really brilliantly done. I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. And I thought it was even more interesting when I came out of it and realised that I don't know. I think I liked it more than your average Joe.
Yeah.
And I started to look at reviews, and a lot of them were like, Alex Garland didn't really have an opinion on things. He just sort of shot this movie about journalists. But that's what I really liked about it.
Well, why does one have to have an opinion?
I don't think you do.
No, I don't.
I think you can take whatever opinion you want out of it. That's kind of the point of it in many ways.
Do people think it's cowardly to not choose a side?
Yeah, I've seen that argument. I've seen reviews, people going, he didn't really offer his opinion on, I guess because it was about obviously a civil war in America.
Mm-hmm.
And there were, I guess because there were sort of similarities to, I want to say similarities, but there were things happen in that movie that me personally could...
They're not a million miles away from reality.
I think so. And I think people were just expecting the film to go, this is bad or that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of did, but it was more about the context of that movie was more in the background. It was more about the actual journalists and their journey and what that means, what journalism means and how people cope with it and the things that they get used to and what's shocking and what's not shocking. I thought all of that, it was more of a, it was just conveying a human experience in that landscape. And I just thought that was super interesting, personally.
Okay. Yeah, not on my list, but I did enjoy it a lot.
Okay. So what was in your number 5 spot then?
So my number 5 is Blink Twice. You're laughing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Ooh. Blink twice. Just another day for you and me in paradise.
I know there was some controversy surrounding this movie. A lot of people came out of it saying that the trigger warnings at the start weren't enough. It showed too much. I am going to sort of put those discussions to one side for the purpose of this. I think it was an excellent film. I think it was really, really well made. I think it sort of drew you in with some really smart humor, some really genuinely hysterically funny moments, and then sort of Trojan horsed in some really serious issues. Whether or not it's been based on specific people or, true events is, again, not something I'm going to address here. But I just think it was a really well-made film. I can't wait to watch it again, genuinely. I've bought it already. I think Zoe Kravitz has obviously picked up quite a lot during her acting career, and I'm really interested to see what she's going to do next. And I was never a fan of Channing Tatum, but I like him in these sort of outside-the-box type roles. Like, he was great in this. He was great in 21 Jump Street when he's not being like the handsome, muscular dude or the guy that dances. Yeah. I think he's utilised pretty well.
Yeah, when he first sort of started appearing in stuff, I was like, oh, that's the Step Up guy. And I sort of probably wasn't on board with him so much. And then you did that G.I. Joe movie, and I was even less on board with him. But yeah, since 21 Jump Street, I think he's great. I think, he does what he does, and he's very good at delivering dry humor, like silly but played straight humor. And I think Blink Twice was maybe the best I've ever seen him.
Genuinely terrifying performance.
I think so.
Yeah.
I've seen some criticisms of his performance.
Oh, no. He's charming when he needs to be, which is the whole point. And then, obviously, I'm not going to spoil too much, but he's brilliant. Really, you've seen criticisms? Yeah, I have.
And I think maybe it's my favourite scene of his in that movie is the thing that people were criticising.
Really?
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. And if you've seen it, you probably know as well. But I really liked it because it sort of went on for a while. And the more it went on, it became really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I can understand if you maybe thought that was a bit cringe, but to me, that's kind of the point of it. And I thought he went beyond it's cringy to this is really quite unsettling. And I thought he was great in that. I think it's my favourite performance of his. Really great movie. Really liked it.
And really fun cast as well. I always love seeing Alia Shaw. I always say Shawkat, but I think it's Shawkat.
Okay.
Simon Rex, Christian Bale, not Christian Bale, Christian Slater.
Christian Bale.
Good Lord, no.
Interesting one. Simon Rex was really funny.
Carl McLaughlin. Really, really fun cast. Gina Davis.
Gina
Special mention for Gina Davis.
Gina Davis, and she was very funny in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but really, really eclectic cast. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Oh, good. It wasn't in my list.
Mm-hmm. Didn't think it would be.
But I think it was probably one of those that could have been 5, perhaps. Okay. It was definitely up there. Right, should we do my number 4 then?
Yeah.
Okay, so at number 4, I've got...
oh, no.
Furiosa.
Okay.
I really liked it, obviously.
Yeah.
It's my 4. Is it in your list?
No.
We're going to talk about it now then.
I keep having to check.
I really was very excited for Furiosa. Obviously, Fury Road is one of the greatest action movies ever made at this point.
You've made no secret of your love for Fury Road on this podcast. I don't think that'll shock anybody.
Yeah, that's fair. So really excited. And sometimes when I'm really excited, it can be a hindrance upon my movie-going experience. So this time I really tried to temper my expectations because I thought I really liked the trailer. I love Fury Road. Really excited for this. But do you know what? I'm just going to try and not be too like a schoolboy giddy when we were in the cinema and just kind of let it wash over me. And I wasn't disappointed. I thought it was epic. I thought it was really well done. It looks amazing. Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy were brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked what they did with that. And it's tricky because it's a prequel and you're dealing with the character that you've seen before, but, you know, kind of how they got to the point that you saw them in Fury Road. And I don't know, I just really liked it. I thought it was really fun to watch at the cinema. I can't wait to watch it again. You very sneakily, you brought me a copy on Blu-ray a couple of weeks ago, which made me smile. And I'm really looking forward to watching that again.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like to watch it again, actually.
Should we watch that and then Fury Road straight after?
We could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. Great choice. So my number 4.
Yeah.
And I went back and forth on this one for a long time.
Yeah.
It's The First Omen.
Okay.
You look shocked.
That is
surprised.
That is a movie that came out this year.
Yes.
I've spent I said I wasn't going to prepare that much for this episode, but I've prepared a fair amount. And I did, first time I've ever thought about The First Omen is when you said it just now.
I think I wasn't very hyped for it.
You wouldn't be. Why would you? You've no reason to be.
True. And this is off the top of my head, so please don't quote me. I believe it was directed by Akasha Stevens. I know it's a female director, and I know she worked on Brand New Cherry Flavour, which I also loved on Netflix.
Okay.
So I don't know. I was maybe like hopeful, but I was not hyped by any measure. I haven't really enjoyed any of the Omen sequels. I think the first one is excellent.
How many are there? You've got Omen.
Well, there's 2 and 3.
And 2, 3.
The third is the one with Sam Neill.
Right.
Not good.
I think I've seen that when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. There was the remake in 2006.
Okay. Has that got Liev Schreiber in it?
Liev Schreiber and Julia Stiles. Yeah, not good.
Never
it was
saw it.
Basically like a frame for frame remake.
What's the point?
Awful.
They Gus Van Santed it, did they?
Kind of.
Had Vince Vaughn wanking in it.
That's the gauge, is it? Yeah. So I wasn't super excited about it because it's not a franchise I really care about beyond the first movie, but it surpassed every single one of my expectations. I thought it was excellent. I think, yes, I'm a little bit biased. If you set a horror movie in the 70s and have it be religious horror and have it be directed by a woman and have it look fucking beautiful, then yes, I'm going to be all in. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was excellent. The central performance by Nell Tiger-Free was mind-blowing. I can't wait to see what she's in next. And the little nods to films like Possession, which I also loved, obviously is a good way to get me on board.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. Really loved it. I think it's been a decent year for horror.
Did you see that a couple of times this year?
Yes. I saw it at the cinema when you were away.
Yes, that's right.
And then we watched it again.
Yeah, and then we rented it, I think, didn't we?
No, I think it landed on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I think possibly in my head I might be mixing up
Have you conflated that with Immaculate?
probably a little bit.
Yeah, they're basically the same film.
Which is unfortunate because
Yeah.
I thought that they were both good.
Same.
I enjoyed both of them.
Mhm.
Probably about the same. Maybe I did enjoy the first Omen a little bit more. Like I hadn't thought about it at all until this conversation just now. But when you were talking about it, I was remembering some shots from it and the location, and it looked amazing. It really did. So I think maybe that one would be slightly ahead of Immaculate for me for those reasons. But
Yeah.
Immaculate was great as well.
I really enjoyed Immaculate. Yeah, Sydney Sweeney was great. It was perfectly paced. I really loved the sort of Euro horror vibe, and it was kind of nihilistic towards the end, shall we say, when things really kick off. But yeah, it didn't make my top 5. Spoilers. I did prefer the first Omen.
I think when you're doing a top 5, you can only have either the first Omen or Immaculate.
I couldn't find space for both of them, yeah. Sadly.
Interesting. Okay, the first Omen. I wonder if that's on my guesses for you. Right, shall I do... what am I on now? I'm on my number 3 already. Okay, so like I said, my top 4 were easy to come up with a top 4, but ranking them was slightly harder.
Okay.
But my number 3 was June 2.
Really? Okay.
Is it on your list?
No.
Okay.
It was in my shortlist. I nearly made it. I think that's probably one of my favourite cinema experiences in recent memory.
But it's not on your top 5?
But it's not on my top 5, no.
I
think my same... For the same reason that the first one wasn't on any of my best of lists the year that came out. And that's because I sort of find it difficult to categorize them when they're part of a larger story, if that makes sense. Because like I think in my head, I thought it was like June 1 and June 2. And that was a complete story. And then it got to the end of June 2 and I was like, for fuck's sake, I've got to wait more years.
Do you not feel like it was a complete story then? This is interesting. I don't think we've spoken about
because there were
this.
threads that were left at the end. Like,
well,
it's clearly a lot of stuff that's left unresolved.
I thought that you was going to say it didn't make your list because your favourite movie is the David Lynch June. Which we've got to get that on a lineup one day.
Do we?
It'd be fun to talk about Sting for a bit.
I hate Sting.
I know you do. That's why it'd be fun. I hear what you're saying, and it's not. Again, we try and avoid spoilers for all of the films we talk about, but I very much with June 1, I liked it a lot. I was like, yeah, 4 stars, but hopefully, because at that point it wasn't guaranteed that they were going to make another one, because it didn't do great at the cinema, but it did.
Did it not? Wasn't that like during COVID though?
Yeah. I think it was a straight to HBO Max thing.
Right.
So it didn't really have a chance to do very well at cinema, but critically, they loved it. So it did well in terms of people's opinions. And I liked the first one, but was like, I'm going to hold back a little bit and wait for the actual story to be told because it was half a story.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the second one, not only did I really like the second one, it also made the first one better for me because it's one movie, really. I don't know if I could really watch the first one without watching the second one.
Yeah.
I could probably watch the second one without watching the first one just because it's in recent memory. But I thought the second one did everything that the first one did really well. It upped the spectacle, I'll say. Like there's some amazing scenes involving giant worms and just some of the visual choices that were made I thought were inspired. I thought it looked great. There's a lot of like black and white stuff, and Austin Butler was very good in that villain role.
Yeah, actually,
but
I'm not typically a fan of his because I think he leans towards overacting. But this was sort of pitched pretty perfectly.
I'd agree with that, but that kind of matched what this was.
Yeah,
and I feel like enough was resolved. Now I know that Villeneuve is going to do another one now. Because that did really well, June 2. And it probably is going to carry on the Chalamet. What's his name? Paul
Atreides.
His name's Paul. They're going to conclude his story, right? And I've never read the books, but I'm familiar with his arc, let's say.
Okay.
So I know where it's going. But I feel like the second one ended in such a way that you could see it going either way. And I'm fine with that. I just thought it was an interesting place to end it. Like if it ends now, I feel like it would be quite interesting because you can see all of the events that have led him up to this moment and you can choose to go one way or another way. But either would be interesting and you can see how that person's gotten there. But I feel like having that, almost like having that question is interesting. If that was the ending, like the end of The Dark Knight, for example, if Rises never happened, which I'm sure many people wishes was the case, not me though, because I think it's great. If it ends at that point, I feel like that's a good place to end it because it just leaves this world open. You can have discussions about where it goes and you can use your imagination about what happens. And I felt the same similar way on June 2.
Okay.
I feel like almost a conclusion to his story is almost going to do it a little bit disservice in a way.
Do you?
I'm sure it's going to be amazing, but I
trust Villeneuve.
He's never made a bad movie.
Agreed.
And he's made the best Blade Runner movie.
I'm gonna throw a fit if you say that one more time.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I say things as a joke, but that's genuinely true in my opinion. But yeah, if it ended now, I'd be perfectly happy. But not to say that I'm going to be first in the line to see June 3. Like, I can't wait. Yeah.
Okay.
So number 3, June 2.
That's fair. Like I say, it was on my short list, but I don't know. I sort of judged my list on movies that I can't wait to watch again. And while I had a ball in the cinema, I think that was an excellent cinema experience. Like the soundscape, brilliant. I'd love to see it on a big screen again, but I'm not like chomping at the bit to watch it again.
I am.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't wait. I nearly bought it the other day in HMV.
Right. Okay.
It might be. It's probably going to be a Christmas purchase. Let's be honest. Yeah. Really great experience. Just so much spectacle. All the money was on screen. The performances, stylistic choices. It all worked for me. I thought it was pretty great. So what's your number 3?
So my number 3 is Alien Romulus. Is this on your list? No. That surprises me. Okay.
It was hard.
Was it? I knew you liked it, but
no, it was very close to being on my list, and reluctantly, it wasn't. So please tell me about Alien Romulus. We went to see that twice at the cinema, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
I've not done that in a while actually.
I enjoyed it thoroughly first and second.
Yeah.
I think maybe I enjoyed it more the second time actually. But second time Kaylee Spaney's showing up on this list as well.
Civil War.
Yeah.
It's a Spaney year, isn't it?
It is. Year of the Spaney.
Was she
Priscilla.
Yeah, was that this year?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, that feels like 15 years ago.
You know, tell me about it.
So yeah, she's had a great year.
Yeah.
She's this year's Archie Madekwe.
I was going to say, what's the inverse of Jason Statham? It'll have to be the Statham Awards and the Spaney Awards.
Yeah.
And if you know, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is a bit of a predictable one for me because obviously my tastes tend to be more horror leaning. And I love the Alien franchise for the most part.
Well, yeah. Resurrection is a movie.
It's still fun. It sucks. Yeah. It sucks. But if you can show me something sexier than Sigourney Weaver doing the over-the-shoulder basketball shot, then please.
Yeah. And it's still got xenomorphs in it. Like,
yeah,
we're still
it's
seeing
got some moments.
Some sort of Giga design on our eyeballs, which is more than you can say for most movies.
True. Yeah, I don't know. I think Fede Alvarez was a really good choice to direct.
Yeah, great choice.
I think they kind of recreated this world really nicely. I thought, what's his name? David
Johnson.
David Johnson was excellent because he kind of had to do 2 roles.
Yeah, he did.
Vague spoiler.
Things happen in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant. I don't know, just some really cool horror moments. I'm trying to talk about it in a non-spoilery way.
It's tricky, yeah.
There was some stuff I didn't like. Some of the CGI, didn't love that.
Yeah, I think...
I still question that as to why it was included. I don't think it was necessary, and I think it looked pony. But for the most part, genuinely, like, I loved the music. I think there were some really kind of ingenious moments, some stuff we haven't seen in that franchise before. I think the lead role, like Kaylee Spaney, was excellent. Yeah, she's not Ripley, but
Who is?
I would watch 3 more movies with her as the lead.
Well, you're in luck.
I know. But yeah, I don't know. Just all in all, it's one I'm going to buy and rewatch probably semi-regularly.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, I thought it was great. My expectations, despite it being Fede Alvarez and me going, yeah, that's a good choice for that. Despite that, my expectations were in a bin. Like, honestly, I don't know. I just thought it's probably going to be nothing. And maybe that was part of why I enjoyed it so much. But
it was a world away from like Prometheus and Covenant, like, and the stuff that we've had more recently. So I think to me, it sort of felt more back to basics. Yeah. It returned Alien back to its horror origins.
Yes. Which is, I think it's been dying. Like, that franchise has been crying out for that. I think that return to horror. That they should have done that ages ago. I guess the last time that they did that was kind of Alien 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of more like Alien 1 than it was like Aliens. But it was not a great movie. And I think it's all right. Like, I
think it's a crying shame because it's got so much promise.
Yeah, I like how mean it is, I think. But despite that, it's not a great movie that I kind of enjoy.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. But Romulus was a total surprise how much I enjoyed that. I think I came out of cinema and said, I think that's my second favourite Alien movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stick to
Controversial.
that. I know you're going to hate me. What's his number one then?
It's not Alien.
It's not Alien. Sorry. I'm sorry. Romulus was great. And I really wanted to put it in my 5 spot. And I was really thinking about it. But, nah.
Okay.
So we're on our ones and twos now.
Yeah.
So my number 2, you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be on your list. It's The Substance.
Yes.
I thought it would be. So my question to you is it your number 2?
No.
I wonder what number it is then. Okay, so The Substance. We can talk about it now. It's on your list. Mm-hmm. It's your number 1.
It is.
So this kind of feels like, for me, it came out of nowhere.
Mm.
I had no idea that Demi Moore was doing this. Who directed it?
Coralie Fargiat.
That's it, Coralie Fargiat, who made
Revenge,
which was great, which you showed me a couple of years ago. Really good movie, really enjoyed it. But I feel like The Substance it was so surprising how much I enjoyed it, how much it was saying about culture and
the dehumanization of women and
within show business and just in general, I guess. And there's some really shocking moments in it.
Yeah.
And it did things that I was not expecting to see. And no spoilers, but there's one thing in particular where my jaw was just on the floor.
Yeah, which is why it's my number 1, because it's been a long time since a film has elicited that kind of physical reaction from me. The last kind of 25 to 30 minutes, my hand was clasped over my mouth, just like, cannot believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing in a mainstream cinema release. Unbelievable. And it felt influenced by a bunch of filmmakers that I love, like Brian Usner, Frank Henenlotter, David Cronenberg. Like, it sort of wore its influences on its sleeve, I feel. And that's, again, a quick way to win me over.
Yeah. Who made Reanimator? Is that Usner?
No, Stuart Gordon.
Stuart Gordon, right, okay. I got vibes of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And again, that's something you've introduced me to. Thank you. Yeah, really unusual, like you say, especially for a mainstream release.
Yeah, I could not believe it.
Did you know that Fargiat was making this? Were you aware that this was coming out this year? Because, like I say, I had no idea it was coming out. And then we saw the trailer. I was like, oh, that looks kind of interesting.
Yeah.
However, I've seen the trailer 73 times and I'm getting a bit sick of it.
I heard about it just before the trailer dropped.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, yep, I'm in. Say no more.
I think that's why I get so annoyed at trailers, because I'm like, I've seen it. I'm going to watch it. All
You're
right?
preaching to the choir at this point. Yeah, absolutely.
But like, I think it was so grotesque in places as well. Like, but the most grotesque thing was the sound design.
Yes.
And you can see, if you watch Revenge, it does to a lesser extent, but you can see the similarities between the two. And the foods where Dennis Quaid is, the scenes where Dennis Quaid is eating, it's horrible. And he was also a masterclass of casting in that role. But yeah, like the sound design of that particular scene when they're at a restaurant and he's shoveling the shrimp into his mouth, it was relentless, because I'm going, I can't look at this. And I covered my eyes and I'm like, I can't do anything about my ears. It's the sound design that was the worst part. And it was really unsettling. Yeah. But like it did exactly what it was trying to, like they were trying to elicit a certain reaction from you. In that case was disgust and like, this guy is horrible. I can't vile, disgusting. Yeah. And it worked. It totally worked for the movie, because every time you're seeing that character, you're like, oh, this guy really, what a douchebag. Yeah, pretty great. So it's your number one. It's your favourite movie.
My number one,
of the year. It's kind of hard to talk about them without spoiling it, isn't it? But we did. It is, yeah. I just a little quick aside. I did talk about that briefly on the Final Transmission show where we talked about Revenge. So if you want to hear more of my thoughts on that and Revenge, then do check out that show. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it again. And I know I've seen a lot of criticisms of, well, it's like feminism 101. Like the point is so obvious. Okay, and what's your point? Yeah. As Garth Marenghi said, subtext is for cowards. Yeah. It doesn't always need to be super...
It doesn't need to be hidden. You don't have to dig deep to discern the meaning.
Yeah.
It can be surface level and still great.
Yeah. And I think that if it was subtle with certain things, the feminism angle, if that was subtle, it wouldn't be in keeping with the rest of the movie.
Nothing about this movie is subtle. No, exactly.
It's very literal in a lot of it. It's how it's presented. And it needs to kind of bash you over the head with it. So if some of it is subtle and some of it isn't, it's not going to work. Like, it's got to be just, this is what we're doing. And I think a lot of the criticisms that I saw was that it kind of lingered on certain shots too long. But again,
that was the point.
That was the point of it.
The whole kind of male gaze aspect. Like, it was beating you around the head with it for a reason.
Yeah, and
showing you how fucking absurd it all is.
Like the long close-ups on who is it?
Margaret Qualley.
Qualley. Was that spelled with a Q?
Yes.
Oh, that's confusing. Qualley, like the close-ups of her bum, and that's going on for like a minute or whatever, and it's ridiculous.
A lot of men were very disappointed to learn that she was wearing fake boobs in that movie.
Was she? Oh, well, okay.
That was their takeaway. Yeah. Can you imagine?
A 1 star.
And but the point is too obvious.
Yeah.
Not for some people.
But it was that they spent a long time lingering on those shots. But for me, I thought it was like I kind of feel uncomfortable about this. Like, why are we spending so long in this shot? But then it tipped over into, this is absurd.
Yeah.
Like, why are we spending this long looking at it? This is ridiculous. And then I'm like,
yeah,
it is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's stupid. And I thought it worked perfectly for what it was.
I think its genius lies in its simplicity, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it was just so... this feels like a wanky term, but like visionary. Like visually, it was incredible.
Yeah. A lot of shots like have just sort of etched into my brain from it.
Yeah.
Particularly like the tiled bathroom, just the white. Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, can't wait to watch it again.
Are you is this available on physical?
I don't believe so. I don't know if Mubi have got some sort of deal, because I know it's on their app.
It's on Mubi, but sometimes they put releases out. I think they'll probably put this out at some point.
I imagine so. Yeah. It will be in my possession before too much longer, I assure you.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm keen to watch it again.
Okay.
So
that was your number 2?
That was my number 2. So we've got to do your 2. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is All of Us Strangers.
All of Us Strangers is a movie that we saw this year. Definitely not 12 years ago.
That's not on your list then?
Yeah, it's on my list.
Is it? I did wonder, because that was really early on in the year. What was that, like February maybe?
I thought it was earlier, but when I looked through,
it might have been.
It wasn't, because I thought it was, but because it feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
But when I looked through my list, I think you're right. I think it was February.
And I know you went to see it again without me.
Yeah.
And I think I suspected this might be on both of our lists because we both had quite an emotional reaction to it. And like, I saw the trailer. I saw Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, like both kind of good actors. And the trailer didn't really give much away, but I was like, okay, yeah, I'm intrigued. But I didn't really know what to expect. And the film just blew me away.
Yeah.
Absolutely. God. Like thinking about it, it's like gutting me again, all over again.
Yeah. I don't know. This was probably one that you're like, oh, I want to see this. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. I guess we're seeing this then.
Yeah.
We've got those passes. Let's make the most of it. So I probably wasn't too interested in it, but it absolutely blew me away. For the first time, yeah, like you say, I saw it twice. Like we saw it together. Absolutely destroyed me. And I don't get emotional ever really in life about anything, to be honest. It's a problem, actually. And even rarer with films that aren't Avengers Endgame.
And even then you're like, bury it.
Yeah.
Bury it down.
Yeah. But it absolutely floored me. And the ending of that movie, I think it's definitely the most, I would say, raw emotion that I've felt in a movie, I think.
Do you think ever?
I think so.
Okay.
I can't remember ever finishing a film and being that destroyed. And just like, well, how do I, what now?
Yeah. How do I go back to my life after this?
But exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember like just the walk home being like, you know, like, and I was curious to watch it again because I was like, is this like, was I just feeling emotional that day or like what was going on? And I went back to see it again on my own and it did exactly the same thing. And I walked home on my own, fucking crying my eyes out.
Did you?
Yeah. Exactly the same response. So for that reason alone, it has to be on my top 5 because for a film to make me that emotional was so rare, and to have it done twice, so I know that it's not some kind of fluke situation. Like, well, yeah, this has done its job for me. I don't really know what the general consensus was on that film.
I think it was reviewed really well.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know how widely it's been seen is the downside, outside of like film people.
Yeah. It was a remake, right? It was a remake of I want to say a Japanese movie.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Or maybe an adaptation of a book.
Based on book.
Based on book, right, okay. Perhaps.
And I thought Andrew Scott was just great. Like,
yeah.
I could have just watched, he's one of those characters, I could have just watched him go about his business for an hour and a half. I thought he was great. Really intriguing to watch, interesting character.
He's so charismatic. I remember having a conversation with Rosie, who I used to do the podcast, my old podcast with, years ago. And she said she had a massive crush on Andrew Scott because I think he was in Sherlock.
Right.
The Benedict Cumberbatch thing.
Yeah, he was the Moriarty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I looked at pictures of him and was like, I don't get it, babe. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But then you see him acting and it's like, no, okay, I get it.
And then and then he's the hot priest.
Yeah. But it's very much his charisma.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like an Irish thing, but he's very gifted in the charisma department, shall we say. He's got mad riz.
He's got mad riz. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Mescal also very...
quite understated.
Understated. Very subtle performance, but quite powerful as well, especially in contrast to Andrew Scott's character. I keep saying no spoilers, not going to spoil anything, but just the events of that movie and what happens between them, I thought was really great. Just lovely to see. And yeah, just a raw emotional experience. And I mean, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times that's ever happened in my life. I've certainly not been that emotional in a cinema before, apart from Avengers Endgame. Yeah.
Such different movies.
Just as important though.
So that's your number 1.
Yeah. All of Us Strangers number 1.
So we had the same 1 and 2, but reversed.
We did. Yeah.
That's curious. I wasn't sure we would have any crossover this year.
I thought that we would. Well, okay, let me say this. when I was writing down the substance, like this is going to be on Sarah's list, 100%. All of Us Strangers, I thought, well, we're going to get to this anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, of
we're going to get
course.
to our guesses. So now we've done our separate top fives. Shall we try and combine them?
Sure. I mean,
Okay.
the top two is going to be easy.
Top two is going to be easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I've got.
But I'm happy to concede All of Us Strangers for the number one spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Because I think it is an outstanding film and not enough people are talking about it. I've seen a lot about The Substance.
Really?
Yeah.
It feels like The Substance is a very memeable film.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of kind of merch, people making t-shirts of it already. And like, I don't know if that's just because I'm more involved in like the horror circles online. So it's very much been embraced by that crowd.
There was The Substance question on our Halloween film quiz.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So combined top five. So number one, we're going to agree that it's
All of Us Strangers. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, All of Us Strangers. Number two, that makes number two The Substance.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Yeah.
I'm shocked at that, to be honest, because I know you were impressed by it.
Yeah.
But when we left the cinema, I seem to remember me saying, I can't remember, I can't wait to watch that again. And I think your exact words were, I never want to watch that again.
Yeah, and I think at the time, it's such a relentless film.
Oh, it's knackering, yeah.
It bashes you over the head with a lot of things. And that fucking sound design, I'm excited to watch it again, but I never want to watch it again. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it was such a pounding experience.
Visceral
Experience.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see if it has the same effect at home as it would in a cinema.
It won't, because when that Dennis Quaid scene happens, I'm going to go and make a sandwich.
Yeah, you can just turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be like, I know what happens, don't worry. Just preparing some shrimp.
Ugh.
Okay, so number one, All of Us Strangers. Number two, The Substance. We've got to decide on our number three. So your number three was...
My number three was Alien Romulus, but that didn't make your top five at all.
No, it didn't.
What was your number three?
My number three was Dune 2. So
okay.
I think what we did last year is when we got to this point is we both said what we want in number three, and then we rock, paper, scissors it.
Okay.
Or Rochambeau.
Rochambeau. Well, obviously I want Alien Romulus.
You want Alien Romulus. Okay, in that case then I'm going to go for Roadhouse. I'm joking.
Don't play with me.
All right, no, I'm going to stick with my actual number three, which was Dune 2. So it's Alien Romulus versus Dune 2.
Okay.
So Rochambeau?
Oh, yeah. Once again, this is a mistake for an audio-only experience.
Well, we can toss the monkey if you like.
We don't have a monkey. Go on. On three?
On three. Right. 1, 2, 3.
We're scissoring each other. Oh, no.
This is exactly what happened last year.
Is it really?
We scissored each other last year.
This is what the good people tune in for.
All right. Rematch then.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Scissors again.
Oh, no.
This is exactly what happened last year. Right.
Why are we like this, Dan?
Nothing if not predictable.
Okay.
Right. On three.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Rocks. We both got rocks.
Fuck.
This is going to be a problem. Right. So rocks is another draw. 3 draws in a row. So I'm going to do scissors this time. On three. On three. 1, 2, 3. Yes. I did rocks. I tricked you. And you did scissor.
Even if you hadn't beaten me, I would have conceded just to avoid having to do that a fifth time.
Let's move on. Okay. Well, I'll be honest.
So Dune 2, it was in my shortlist. That's fine.
Okay. I'll be honest. If I had lost that, I wouldn't have been devastated.
No, I know, exactly.
Yeah.
They're both films that we loved anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So number 3, Dune 2. So let's decide our number 4 then. Should we Rochambeau or should we like flip a coin or something? Let's.
Do we have a coin?
What's my worst Blu-ray I own?
The worst Blu-ray that you own?
Yeah. I do own Quantum of Solace, so that's a contender.
You've got Death Race 2.
It's
got to be Death Race 2.
Is it? Right, okay, Death Race 2. Let's toss Death Race 2.
Okay.
Because I bought that thinking I really liked it, and then I watched it, was like, that's really shit, isn't it?
It's not good. So what are we doing? Like printed side up, shiny side up?
Yeah, heads or tails.
But which one's heads and which one's tails?
Well, heads is the one with the heads on it.
Right, okay.
That's Luke or Matt Goss.
One of Bros.
It's a Bros.
Yeah.
Right, so what are we playing for now? Number 4.
Number 4.
So what am I gonna nominate for 4?
Well, my number 4 was The First Omen.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go with Alien Romulus again.
Okay, Romulus. I'm gonna stick with Furiosa for number 4.
Okay, so it's Romulus versus Furiosa.
What? Yeah, I hate those choices. So, do you want to pick heads or tails?
Heads.
So you're going for Bros.
Yeah, Luke
Right.
and or Matt.
Yeah, one of the Brosses. Is it Bros? It could be Bros. Who knew? Because they are brothers.
We've been saying it wrong this whole time.
I think so.
You know that song, When Will I Be Famous, by Bros?
Yeah. I think it might be Bros. Right, so number 4, we're doing Alien Romulus versus Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. And you've chosen heads, which means if it's heads, it's going to be Alien Romulus.
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's toss this thing without trying to scratch it. Actually, I don't care. Right.
You won again.
Tails. Oh, I almost feel bad about this. Romulus has got to get in there somewhere. All right, okay, so our combined number 3 then is Furiosa.
Wait, no, number 4.
Number 4, I beg your pardon. Our combined number 4 is number Furiosa.
Is number Furiosa?
I've had a beer.
Yeah, and 2 cocktails.
God, I've drunk the whole thing. That's why I feel drunk. I've drunk the whole quadruple drink you made me.
The Quadfather.
I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
Beer next.
I'm only halfway through mine, and I've had 0 beers.
Right. Number 5, we need to decide our number 5th movie. Are you going to pick Romulus again for 5?
Yeah.
I might concede that.
What's your number 5?
My 5 was Civil War. But I had Civil War / Alien Romulus / The Apprentice /
The Apprentice was on. Okay.
/ Roadhouse.
Right. Roadhouse is not getting a look in. I'm telling you that now.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
We will.
So because I was considering it for number 5 anyway, I think maybe I should just concede that and put Romulus in there.
Because you feel bad.
I don't feel bad. I just think it's the right decision because I was already considering it.
Okay.
So yeah, let's go with that then. So Alien Romulus.
That's a really good top 5. That's a better top 5 than last year.
Yeah, last year was a bit random, wasn't it? Like you say.
Last year was all over the place.
Yeah. I had quite a lot of comedies in my list last year. There were far fewer comedies this year that I was impressed with than last. So so what we got then? So number 5, we've got Alien Romulus, horror.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, we've got Furiosa,
Mm-hmm.
epic action post-apocalyptic film. June 2, good old sci-fi epic.
Yep.
Number 2, The Substance, which is a horror.
Yeah.
And All of Us Strangers, which is
devastating.
Devastating. Yeah. Quite the spread. But I do like that lineup as a combined list. I do think that is maybe a stronger top 5 than last year's was.
I think so. And more indicative of who we are.
Yeah.
Last year was so
it was pretty random. I think
chaotic.
Yeah. And I think because this year started so strong and there were so many, I think all of my top 5 were in the first half of the year.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at this. The Substance, when did that come out?
No, that was like September.
Yeah. Okay. So 4 of mine were the first half of the year, and the last one was the last half of the year. I now got to find out where I put this Death Race 2 Blu-ray.
Just let it remain lost forever.
I can't do that because what you have to do is put it away when you've finished.
Why
with
would
it.
you put it back on the shelf when you've already acknowledged that you don't like it?
But I need to put it next to Death Race 1.
Oh, you need to. No, you don't need the rest of them before you say it. Just because there's a gap. No, Death Race 3 and beyond.
Something to go between Death Race 2 and Demolition Man.
It's not going to be Death Race 3.
Inferno.
Damn it. No.
So moving on then. Last year we had a stab at trying to guess each other's top 5, which I think was your friend's idea, wasn't it? Or Ellie, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I think she suggested, why don't you try and guess each other's top 5? And we're like, oh, yeah.
She's your friend as well.
She's my friend now, yeah. And we thought, well, let's do the same again. So I wrote down what I thought your top 5 would be, and you wrote down what you thought my top 5 would be. We put them on pieces of paper and folded them up and put them in our pockets. So
on the shelf.
Yours is on the shelf.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting. Let's open them up and see what we had.
Oh, you. Yeah, you've done well.
I did all right, didn't I?
You did.
I did all right.
Are you laughing at mine?
I can see why they're all action movies, and I can see why you went that road. And these are in order, are they? Mine?
No.
I thought you said you put them in order.
I put mine in order.
Okay. It's called a top 5. I don't know what to tell you. All right. So you wrote down for me, you wrote down Alien Romulus.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly made my list.
Yeah.
Bad Boys Ride or Die. It nearly made my list.
Did it really?
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's a Bad Boys movie.
Yeah.
Furiosa.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Civil War. Yeah, I think you knew that was going to be on there. And Roadhouse.
You didn't shut up about Roadhouse for months.
I know. I know. I for the first 6 months, it probably was in my top 5.
That's insane.
I really liked it.
I know.
But that's interesting. Yeah, like I say, mostly action movies. I don't hate your list for me. And part of me is like, maybe I should have put Bad Boys on. So what did I guess then for you? And how did I do?
You did really well. You got 3. You got 3 of 5.
Yeah.
How many did I get?
2.
That's disappointing.
You got 40%. I got 60.
Yeah.
So what did I guess for you then?
So Blink Twice, which was my number 5.
Yes.
You put June 2 for number 4.
Yep.
Which was on my shortlist. You put Love Lies Bleeding for number 3. Again, on my shortlist.
I'm amazed that wasn't in your top 5.
I know. It came so close to being on my top 5.
Yeah.
It really did.
Because what threw me a little bit as well is because you bought it quite quickly.
Yeah.
And that was always a little bit like, I'm going to make a mental note of that. That was John Waters' favourite movie of the year.
Well, yeah. Of course it was. And then 1 and 2, The Substance and All of Us Strangers, in the right order. Nailed it. So you know me better than I know you.
But last year you knew me better than I knew you.
Yeah.
So it's 1-1.
Sure.
Next year is the decider. What's going to happen? Who knows?
Who cares?
Yeah. But yeah, no, we did pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. It's always fun to try and sit down and guess what
Yeah.
I think you're gonna sort of. Well, I guess like to a certain degree, we go and see them and we know because we talk about, particularly on a Patreon, we go and talk about them on our Patreon, and we certainly talked about all of those.
Yeah.
I think you spoke about the first Omen on your own.
Yes.
On a Patreon episode. But yeah, I think we covered most of them over there, and I can sort of gauge where I think roughly they're going to land, I guess, from that. But and like I say, when you buy them at full price, I'm like, you probably like this quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm keen to watch that again. The only reason it didn't quite crack my top 5 was the ending didn't 100% work for me. But I don't know. Maybe that would look. Again, some of my top 5s made it on there because I saw them more than once.
Yeah.
So maybe if I'd seen that a second time, it would have made it. Who knows? I
need to watch it again, I think.
Yeah.
Because I was quite...
You were like drifting as well.
But I was really excited about it. I thought the trailer was excellent. I loved the aesthetic, how it looked, and the music they were using in the trailer and stuff. I was like, yeah, I can't wait for this. And Rose Glass as well, like off of St. Maud, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which was great. I was super excited, and I was sort of a bit underwhelmed by the movie. But I'm willing to like go in and give it another go. It might be another one of those. Like now I've seen it, I know what it is. I might enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, always happy to watch it again.
Yeah. Well, we own it now, so.
So I know you put out a bit of an open call for our listeners and friends top 5s.
Yes, over on Instagram, did a little video.
Yeah.
What were your top fives?
Mm-hmm.
We had a few responses.
Interesting.
So, Raiders of the Podcast, which I think Kevin looks after the Instagram page.
I believe so.
Yeah. So they put The Substance.
Nice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Furiosa.
Nice.
Agreed. And Love Lies Bleeding.
Excellent.
Which was shortlisted.
Mm-hmm.
So solid choices. Thank you for that. Gungraves, our friend Paul.
Yep.
He put Terrifier 3.
I haven't seen it.
I've not seen a Terrifier movie, so I'm not your man for that, really.
I hated the first one. Terrifier 2 was a step up.
Okay.
So I'll watch the third.
Had Channing Tatum in it. June 2.
Okay, yep.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And also Terminator 3, 4 and 5.
Incorrect.
Which is incorrect. Yeah. And I said this to him.
Paul!
I was like, well, if you've got Terminator 3, 4 and 5, why wouldn't you put Dark Fate on there as well? So,
None of them belong in a best of 2024.
No.
Just because you watched them in 2024.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. He did say that. He did say as well that he does watch them yearly.
Okay. What, the third one?
I mean, I'd rather watch the third one than Genesis.
That's fair.
I think the third one is okay.
The third one doesn't have Jai Courtney in it. Jai Courtney? I'm never sure.
I think we say Jai.
I don't like him. I know that much.
So yeah, thanks Paul. Project Chan said Honora.
Excellent. Yep.
Challengers.
Good film.
My Old Ass.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that.
Something I haven't heard of, but Bob Trevino likes it.
I haven't heard of that either.
No, I've not.
Oh wow. Okay.
And Trap.
No.
Nobody's perfect.
Hard disagree on Trap. Some people loved it though.
I guess well, Chan loved it.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair play.
But this is what it's all about, isn't it? This is the beauty of opinions on film.
Yeah, absolutely. A.W. Stevens.
Oh, Alistair.
Yeah, Alistair said Substance.
Nice.
Agreed. Dr. Gain, Vincent said The Substance.
Yeah.
Coming up a lot. Yeah.
I like it.
Poor Things.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to talk about our honourable mentions.
Yeah.
I saw the TV Glow.
Yeah, there's been a lot of love for that. I wish I'd got more out of it. I really do.
We're probably not going to talk about that in our honourable mentions, are we?
No.
So I watched this because you put it on.
I was really hotly anticipating this one.
And I think someone recommended it to you as well, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Didn't they say it's the best movie they've ever seen? And maybe that was a problem. Because
I feel like it was Jamie at Final Transmission who recommended it.
Jamie really liked it. Jamie was like, yeah, this is great. Watch it immediately.
It was already on my radar. So right. I was going to watch it at some point anyway.
And it wasn't on my radar. I didn't know what it was. We watched it and I thought, somebody's watched a David Lynch movie. And I didn't really get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what was going on. The subtext you explained to me afterwards. And I was like, okay. But it didn't do much for me, I'll be honest.
I think with the subtext in mind, it works really well if you're into the overall sort of weirdness and the strange visuals paired with a non-linear narrative that might not make much sense outside of the subtext. I can see why people get a lot out of it. I really can. I just wish I'd enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
Not everything's going to resonate.
No. Also, All of Us Strangers.
Yep.
Correct on that one. And Amelia Perez, which I'm not familiar with.
That's a way more recent release, but it's gotten a lot of really positive buzz. Although I am put off by the fact that it's a musical, but that's
right.
Purely personal taste.
Yep.
For the same reason I haven't gone to see Wicked.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, same reason it's not on our list.
Yeah.
And Yamitoville Horror said Red Rooms. But that came out last year.
Not in the UK. It didn't.
Right.
It was a 2023 movie. We watched it.
We did. Yeah, I remember watching it. Yeah. It's an interesting movie.
I really enjoyed it. I can see why that's been on some people's top fives. Absolutely.
Unusual. I really liked the setup. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a very intriguing premise.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite stick the landing for me. I thought it was good, but not enough for me to be in my top 5.
Okay.
And yeah, that was it.
Good mixture.
Yeah.
But largely on board with what we've already said, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm glad to see The Substance getting so much love because that could have been such a weirdly divisive one.
Mm. And it should be, shouldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's surprising how many people did get on board with that.
It's the sort of film that should elicit some sort of reaction, even if that is disgust and walking away from it.
It's the sort of film that comes out and everyone should hate and it should do really badly, but in 10 years everyone goes, it was a misunderstood masterpiece and it's now a cult classic.
That's what I think is going to happen to Borderlands.
We'll get to our worst of the year. Don't spoil it. Before we get on to our worst of the year,
yeah,
a couple that we haven't seen yet that you might be going, well, why wasn't that on your list?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was because we ain't seen it. So if you're a US listener, you've probably seen Nosferatu at this point.
Jealous.
Robert Eggers one.
Eggers.
But it's not out for us yet. I think it comes out New Year's Day, I want to say.
Yeah, January 1st.
I've started seeing, and I'm avoiding the reviews. Because
I haven't even watched the trailer.
We're watching it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm avoiding the trailer too. That's the good thing about not going to the cinema.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to go and watch it. I've seen some reviews, but just like the headlines, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, like I don't want to know any specifics.
Mm-hmm. We're just going to hibernate between now and the 1st.
Yes. But that's not out for us yet. So unfortunately, it's not made any of our lists, but it's going to be a super early one for next year, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Last Stop in Yuma County, which
Jim Cummings
came out for us this year, but I think was perhaps 2022 for
really.
Maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like that's been hovering for ages.
Okay,
really want to see Last Stop in Yuma County. I'm a huge Jim Cummings fan. I think Arrow have gotten the rights to release it over here in the UK.
I know it's screened at the Prince Charles in London recently.
Yeah,
maybe last month. And I was gutted we couldn't make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really hope we get to see that soon.
I've toyed with getting a pre-order with Arrow. I might still do that, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Something that I was going to go and see during a day while you were at work, but I didn't. I got busy. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story,
the documentary, yeah,
which I've seen has made a few people's lists, as well. So I'm kind of gutted that I didn't go to see that because I grew up with Superman. First superhero movie I ever saw. Christopher Reeve was my guy. My little Superman costume jumping off the coffee table, like my introduction to Margot Kidder. Like really, really great stuff, and yeah, obviously tragic story with that guy. So yeah, I'm gutted I didn't get to see that, but hopefully maybe it's streaming somewhere and we can get to it over Christmas maybe. I'm really gutted about this one too. We didn't get to see Craven 2. Craven 2? Craven 1, sorry.
There's never going to be a Craven 2.
There's never going to be a Craven 2.
Don't make that mistake.
We didn't get to see Craven, unfortunately.
I really want to I'm badly.
So curious. Like, it's out now in the UK, I believe. But it's not showing at our local cinema because the Curzon is too good for Craven, apparently.
Because the Curzon have taste. Well, no, they don't, because they showed Madam Web.
Yeah, precisely. But it's done really badly. It's been reviewed really badly. But yeah, I'm well up for watching it. Just getting really drunk, watching it and doing a stupid Patreon review on it.
I've seen a few clips of people picking apart the terrible dialogue.
Right.
So, yeah.
Who'd have thought, eh?
I know.
We never saw The Wild Robot.
Oh, I really want to see that.
I know.
Yeah, I know you're not a fan of animation, so I will make you watch it at some point, though.
Yeah. We didn't see Wicked.
Nope.
I think that's probably made a lot of people's top fives, but
good for them
because it's done really well. Like a lot of people must have seen it, and I've seen a lot of buzz about it online and stuff, and I've seen a lot of people dressed in green. And
I feel like me saying "good for them" sounds super sarcastic.
It does a bit, yeah.
I didn't mean it that way. If you enjoy that, genuinely, I'm happy for you. Yeah. Good for you.
Couldn't agree more.
I wish I was into that, but I know it's not for me.
We didn't go to see Inside Out 2.
No, the first one was great. But I didn't have a huge amount of interest for the second one. I've heard it's really good, though.
I've heard it is good. It did really well at box office. Again, they went to see it. I think maybe, again, that came out when I was away, while I was working away.
Maybe.
But yeah, we didn't see that. I don't think I've seen the first Inside Out all the way through. I think I saw maybe half of it and fell asleep, maybe.
Well, as a Richard Kind fan, you owe it to yourself to watch it all the way through.
Richard Kind's in it. Right. Okay.
And he might make you do a cry.
Really?
Yeah, he made me do a cry.
Oh no, I know what happens to him. I've heard this actually. Yeah. And that's all the ones that I've written down that we haven't seen yet. I don't know if there are any other. There must be others that we've not seen because 10,000 movies came out this year. So that's the qualifications out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Worst of the year.
We're going straight to worst, are we?
Are there any others you want to talk about?
Well, I think we should talk about some honourable mentions that didn't make our top fives, but that we haven't mentioned yet.
You are absolutely right. And for some reason, I can't find my honourable mentions bit in my notes. Where's that gone? Yeah, there it is. Oh, that's because I was going to do it.
Oh, no.
And I've forgotten. So thank you for reminding us. Honourable mentions. So you've got a list of honourable mentions.
Yeah, movies that were on my short list but didn't make my big list. Anora was on there.
Yes. I was sort of briefly toying with the idea that this might be on your top five, but I think I discarded it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it.
Really enjoyed it.
You did enjoy it. Yeah, you did like it. You liked it more than me.
Yeah.
A lot of people did enjoy it, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit bored by it.
I know.
Yeah. But I can see what you would and other people would get from it.
Yeah. Obviously, I've got things like Love Lies Bleeding, June 2, things that we've already spoken about. Poor Things. This would have been my number one.
I had this at my number one for you.
Yes, but then I gave you a hint.
Was it a hint, or did you just say I'm not putting Poor Things?
I said I'm not putting Poor Things on my list. Well, I feel like I've got a horrible feeling it's going to be the same with Nosferatu next year. Because for most of the world, Poor Things was a 2023 movie, but we didn't get it until a few days into January.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I felt a bit weird about putting it as my number one. I loved it. I think it's maybe the only film I gave 5 stars to all year.
Right.
So by rights, it should be my number one, but it just felt too much like a 23 movie.
I sort of understand where you're coming from. I was a bit confused because I was up, but it came out in...
No, I know. But I think most of the world is sort of past it already.
Yeah, I suppose so. There is that. Yeah, it was a really good movie. But it came out 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know how... Does Yorgos Lanthimos, does he ever have a holiday, do you think?
He's been pretty hardworking. I think I get the impression sort of Poor Things and Kinds of Kindness were made very close together.
Well, yeah, they were released within, for us anyway, 6 months within each other. So
yeah, and a lot of the cast was the same. I mean, he's worked with Emma Stone a few times now.
Yeah,
but really enjoyed Kinds of Kindness as well. Actually,
yeah,
but it didn't make my shortlist. What else? Horde.
Oh yeah, Horde came out this year, didn't it?
That weird little British film with Luna Carmoon directed.
Yeah.
First time female director. I loved it. I hope that gets a Blu-ray release.
Oh, has it not?
Not yet. I hope it does. Yeah, I don't know. It just ticked a lot of boxes for me.
Yeah, and we know what those boxes are. I'm not going to spoil that movie, but if you listen to our season 6, any episode from our season 6,
there's no incest in it.
I beg to differ.
In Horde?
Are we thinking about the same movie?
I don't think so.
Joseph Quinn?
Yeah.
We are thinking about it.
There's no incest in that.
There's almost incest in it. We're veering into spoiler territory now. This is close to incest.
They're not related.
Nah.
They're not related. It doesn't count.
Maybe I'm remembering it differently then. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not inappropriate, but it's not incest.
I think you're probably right, actually.
If you're going to call me a weirdo, at least be correct. But yeah, that was very nearly on my list. More honourable mentions. Monkey Man.
Monkey Man.
I loved that. That's another one I saw twice at the cinema.
Yeah, because you saw it when I was away. And then when we came back, you were like, they're still
Dan,
showing Monkey Man. Let's
you've
go and
got to
watch
see
it.
Yeah.
But the problem with that was that we went on a Sunday, and on the Saturday prior, I'd driven 13 hours back from Scotland.
Yeah.
I was very tired, and I didn't get much from that movie. And I actually fell asleep.
I think you should give it another go.
I think you're right. Well, luckily you own it. You have, have procured it on Blu-ray, so we will watch it again. I think I probably will get more from it a second time round.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Heretic.
Yeah, solid.
Really enjoyed the kind of theology discussions. The script was really smart.
Yeah.
You don't often see that kind of thing in horror or in film, really. So yeah, I'm stoked to see that a second time. Rebel Ridge.
I thought you was going to say Rebel Moon for a minute, but Rebel Ridge,
Really enjoyed that.
yeah.
Jeremy Saulnier knows how to write a really meaty thriller. And it just was very sort of slow and purposeful and gnarly and just impressive.
Yeah.
I really like his filmmaking style.
He's very good at tension. I really liked Rebel Ridge. I was quite excited for that to come out. That was a Netflix one, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I knew nothing about it when it dropped on Netflix, actually.
I think like Netflix drops are becoming less and less exciting as the years go on.
Yeah, because most of them are pony.
Yeah, they are, unfortunately. But like you say, when you see it's Saulnier, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm keen to watch this. I think we watched it probably the first weekend it came out. Really liked it. I thought it was really tense and well made. Yeah. And that last like 20 minutes was just, it feels like it was written for me. Yeah. I thought it was great.
Like I'm getting chills now thinking about it.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive movie. That I've not seen enough people talk about, actually.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And the last one that I was toying with was The Shadow Strays, which again, I've not seen anybody talk about, and was another one that just sort of materialized on Netflix out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Timo Tchadanto, same director as The Night Comes for Us. Oh my God, what a film. But yeah, if you're into sort of gnarly martial arts stuff, choreographed fight scenes, revenge movies in general, absolutely do yourself a favor and seek that one out.
Yeah, it was pretty relentless. Yeah. It was quite long.
It was, but it didn't feel like I didn't feel burdened by the length of it.
Moving on. It was kind of there's quite a lot of times you'll put a movie on and I'm like, oh right, let's watch this then. And I'm not very excited by it. But when I really enjoy them, I'm really happy because there's nothing more enjoyable to me than really enjoying a movie that I didn't think I was going to enjoy very much.
And that you didn't know much about before putting it on,
Yeah, I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And is it like, remember that time we watched, what was that movie called? The Iko Uwais one that we were dead excited for, but was terrible. It was Netflix, the Fist.
Oh, yeah. It was...
Golden Shower.
That's it, yeah, the Golden Shower.
Fist of Fury.
No, it was like a feature-length tie-up to a series that they'd done. But they didn't make that very obvious.
It was called something.
Was so bad.
It definitely had a name, but I can't remember what it was. But that was terrible.
Yeah.
And I was a bit scared this was going to be like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But the choreography was amazing. It looked really nice. It was a really unusual film in a way. It was very long, like I said, but not in a bad way. In a sort of way that I'm like, let's sit down and have a beer and watch this movie. Like, I feel like
if it was really long, but more in a Raid 2 kind of a way.
Yeah, it was quite epic, and it just feels more like an event. Like it's a Saturday night. Let's get a pizza and a beer and sit down and watch this movie. Yeah, that came out of nowhere for me. Really enjoyed that, but I completely forgot about that. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, most people have. It's sort of disappeared.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I've not seen anyone talk about that.
No, such a shame.
Yeah. And but the annoying thing about Netflix releases is that we're probably not going to get a physical release.
No, I know. Every like 6 months or so, I will search for The Night Comes for Us on Blu-ray. Still nothing.
Okay.
Gutted.
One day, hopefully.
Yeah.
What else you got on there then?
That's it. That's it for my shortlist.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, you mentioned most of them already.
I think we've spoken quite a lot. Spoken about quite a lot of them. Yeah, I've got a few that we haven't. Already mentioned The Apprentice because it was in contention with my top 5. It was weird because I put Civil War in my 5, and then I was like, oh, but maybe The Apprentice or Roadhouse. But for the longest time, Roadhouse was in my number 5 until we saw Civil War and Romulus. But I really liked The Apprentice. I thought Sebastian Stan has never been better as Donald Trump. Like, you quite enjoy Sebastian Stan. Let's announce that.
Not in that.
But exactly. You're like,
God, no.
We've recently done a rewatch of, what did we do? Civil War, Black Panther, Infinity War, and Endgame.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is the Bucky bit. And you're so excited to see Sebastian Stan. I'm like, all right, calm down. Let's go and watch the movie where he plays Donald Trump.
Nope.
And it did nothing for you, did it? Yeah.
No.
But how incredible was he?
He was great. I mean, we saw that and A Different Man kind of within 2 weeks of each other. And yeah, he's great. Making some really interesting decisions lately.
I really like the choices that he made with those two movies. It's definitely so demanding, like in terms of acting abilities. I think both of those for sort of different reasons.
Yeah.
Very unusual movies. And obviously The Apprentice had Jeremy Strong in it.
Yes.
Is it Roy Cohn he was playing?
Yeah.
And he was incredible as well. And it's one of those movies that I really liked when we watched it. I quite enjoy things about real life politics and satire. And
I hadn't noticed that about you.
You know that about me.
No.
And you could, I mean, I would probably describe it as a bit satirical.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had its moments where you were supposed to laugh.
Yes, but I also don't think it was necessarily having a massively huge opinion about Trump. I think it was more portraying what happened and how we got here.
Yeah, I guess so.
Did, I mean, the problem with it is, and we discuss this all the time, is that real life is now satire. So when something portrays real life, I'm like, that's satire. I'm like, well, actually, that's just real life.
You can't do satire anymore.
No, you can't. So while I watched it and was like, this is ridiculous, I'm like, but that's actually things that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's on like the tamer end of things that he's done as well.
Yeah, it absolutely killed it for me, that movie. I thought it was great. And speaking of kill, yeah.
Yes. How was that not on my shortlist?
It was, again, came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting this movie.
Well, we saw a trailer for it and I was like, oh my God, there's this, I think it's Indian. There's this Indian action movie and it's supposed to be like I can't remember which descriptive terms they used, but like the most expensive Indian action movie or the most something Indian action movie. And the trailer made it look really interesting. And I told you about it and you were like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we went to see it and there was that one moment where we were both like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And not going to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But there was that one sort of jaw-dropping bit and we were both like, yeah, all right, here we go.
Again, like I'm trying to dance around this in my head as well. Like there's two moments this year in film where my jaw was on the floor. One of them was in Substance.
Yep.
The other one was in Kill. And when that happened, it was just like, you could end this in 10 minutes and I think I would still be like at a 4-star because I respect you so much for what you've done.
Such a ballsy move.
Yeah. But it was brutal and it was a really enjoyable action movie. And it was, it was an action movie. There's a certain amount of predictability, a certain amount that you have to suspend your disbelief.
Less so than the average, I would say, though.
But then it did do some things differently. And I think that was kind of the difference. But it did the action very well. Now, I would have liked maybe a bit less shaky cam and kind of choppy editing. But considering you're setting something entirely on a train and you've got very closed spaces, I think it did it as well as you can do.
Yeah.
You don't have a ton of choices on where to put the camera for that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sort of limited to what you can do. But I think it was absolutely great. And
yeah.
I've not seen anyone talk about this.
Again, another one.
Yeah. And maybe a physical release. It would be nice if we get one of those as well.
I haven't actually checked.
I was considering guessing that Challengers would be on your list,
Were you?
A little bit.
That didn't even make my shortlist.
Interesting.
Was that on yours?
On my shortlist?
Yeah.
It was on my honourable mentions.
Right.
It was an unusual movie.
Yeah.
And
but Luca Guadagnino, again, much like Villeneuve, hasn't made a bad movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I find all of his films just really compelling. Like his latest movie, Queer, we haven't seen yet.
Not yet, no.
And I'm quite keen to watch that, but just because, like you say, he hasn't made a bad movie, knows how to make a good one. Even something like like, why are they remaking Suspiria? And then you watch it like, well, actually, that was quite good.
Yeah, and you know how much we love the original Suspiria, so
yeah,
I was dubious, to say the least.
But I really enjoyed that, not just because it looked really nice, it showed tennis in a way that I've never ever given a shit about tennis. And then
I used to play tennis.
Oh, great. So like what tennis is then?
Yes, I'm familiar with the game of tennis.
So I wasn't. I never heard of tennis. And then this film was all about tennis. And it introduced me. I was like, oh, tennis is all right, isn't it? But they shot it really well in a way that this shot tennis the best I've ever seen it since Wimbledon. Like,
there was some really interesting stuff like ball cam.
Yeah.
Which sounds horrendous.
There was a lot of ball cam. Yeah. It was quite sexy, this movie, as well.
Yeah.
And it was very sexy. It showed tennis in an exciting way. The music was incredible.
Yeah.
It was a very EDM-y type soundtrack, if I remember correctly.
All of the separate parts don't sound like they would go together, but yet somehow did.
Yeah. And it was one of those that we came out of it, I was like, I enjoyed that, but I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, it's worth a mention, I thought.
Okay, yeah.
I can't believe we've not mentioned Deadpool and Wolverine yet.
It's because everybody else did.
Considering I'm wearing a Deadpool Merry Christmas t-shirt.
That was on my short list of your top 5.
Right, okay.
I considered it for like a second.
Yeah. I really liked it. Really entertaining.
It was funny. They're always funny.
Kind of disposable humour. Like, it was, I'm not sure how often I'm going to revisit this. And often that's how I gauge movies.
I still think the second one is the best one, or it's my favourite anyway.
I think the first one's still my favourite.
Okay.
But it's not much between 1 and 2. On another day, maybe 2 might be my favourite. And 3 is definitely my third favourite, but I still really enjoyed it. I had a great time.
What's his name? McFadden was super funny.
Womskans.
Womskans, yeah. He was a nice addition.
Yeah.
There was a lot of it that was really funny. Peggy, Dogpool.
Dogpool, yeah.
I was a big fan of Dogpool. But I don't know. I feel like I've reached oversaturation of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, that is a problem. You're right.
I'm getting a bit tired of his shtick because it is very samey.
Yeah, he's always Ryan Reynolds since Van Wilder.
Mm-hmm. So I think maybe that's why it didn't come close to my shortlist this year.
No, I enjoyed it.
But it was a solid movie, yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really entertaining. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. Mm-hmm. But I'm probably not going to think about it too much more.
Again, Channing Tatum was a standout.
You're so right. He's this year's Archie Madekwe.
No, that's Kaylee Spaney.
I've been to see a few movies on my own this year during the day. I went to see Layla a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Which is worth mentioning because I mention it because I've not seen anyone else mention it. It was one of those that I hadn't heard of. It was just happened to be playing on a day when I was like, I've got nothing to do. I might go to the cinema. And I'm really glad that I watched it. You know, we did that coming of age season and we discussed like you don't need to necessarily be a child to be coming of age. Like it's a period of growth. That's how I felt about that movie. Well, we watched it. I watched it, I beg your pardon. And I thought, yeah, this could have fitted in with that season. Very interesting movie. Quite heartwarming in places.
Okay.
Very human. Very real kind of... it just felt quite realistic.
It's British, isn't it?
Yeah. It's realistic. It's British. It's set in London. Like that's already, you've won me over to a certain degree. And it was just an interesting story about a couple of human characters that are just trying to get through life, you know, not knowing what the answers are, taking risks and figuring themselves out.
They're some of my favourite kind of movies.
I think you'd like this one.
Yeah.
I'm quite keen to watch this with you and just to see what your opinion is of it. And it's one of those, again, that I really liked and I keep thinking about it. And one of the things that I keep thinking about actually was more not to do with the movie, but when I was watching it, I'm not going to spoil it, but things happened in that movie which I believe it's an 18, so it's, you know, there are some things that only adults should be seeing. And there was one particular moment involving a shoe and the heel of a shoe, to be more specific. And there was a guy in front of me, I want to say about 50, 55 maybe, had a hat on, quite cold outside, big jacket, grey beard. And
was it Santa?
It was Santa. It was J.K. Simmons. And he sat down to watch it, and we were all like watching the movie for about an hour and 15 minutes. And this thing happened with the shoe, which if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And he got up, he stood up and left, like in protest. And
reached his limit.
He'd reached his limit with that movie. But I'm like, how have you made it this far in this movie? Because other things happen in it before that. not as graphic or whatever, but that's my argument. It wasn't actually graphic. Like, you don't see anything. I'm trying so hard not to be too descriptive and spoil what's happening.
But it was just the suggestion of it was
enough. It's not a spoiler, but yeah, it's a suggestion of a shoe involving somebody else.
Gotcha.
And that was too much for him, and he got up and left. And that might be the most I've laughed internally for a while, because I was just like, oh God, you must have been so uncomfortable for this whole thing. And this is your tipping point, is it?
It's probably somebody that complains on Facebook about left-wing milk.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Probably. Left-wing sandwiches. Yeah. But that was very good. Like I said, not heard anyone talk about it, so I want to mention it because I think it's definitely worth your time.
Okay.
Romulus obviously was on my honourable mentions, but we've spoken about that. Did Femme come out this year?
I don't think so. I think that was a 2023 one. We saw it this year, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, that was early as well.
Yeah. That was great.
That was great. Yeah, really enjoyed that. But if it's not this year, then that's a moot point. The Settlers, which was very good.
You saw that on your own, yeah.
I saw that on my own, and I thought that was maybe last year, but it wasn't. It was definitely this year. I'm not going to... How long have we been talking?
Too long.
2 hours now, so I'm going to wrap this up. So The Settlers, yeah, very good. Recommend it. Watch it. Next. The Beast.
Oh, yeah. Is that the French... Is it French?
Léa
Seydoux is in it. Maybe I got confused.
And there's some French language in it. Yeah,
right.
It's not all subtitles. Some of it's in English. Some of it is in French.
Right. Okay.
It's a complicated movie. I nearly bought it the other day in HMV.
Oh, okay.
But it was still full price, so I'm going to wait until it goes down a bit. But it was very interesting, and I'm really like I can't. I want to watch Layla with you because I want to see what you think about that, because I think you'll like it. That's more for you, but I really want to experience The Beast with you. I think that's a very interesting movie.
Okay.
Things happen in it that I think is definitely your vibe.
Ooh.
And it's I wish we'd seen it together.
Incest, you say? I'm joking.
Yes.
Why am I continuing this this inside joke?
I don't know.
I could just let it die, couldn't I?
I'm not going to let it die, so you might as well not let it die.
Yeah.
The Promised Land, which
I don't know that one.
Which was Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh,
Earlier on in the year, again, went to see it on my own. I think my review on Letterboxd was There Will Be Mud, which is kind of indicative of the plot, but it's very clever because it's also indicative of the plot of The Promised Land, and also There Will Be Blood. It's not as clever as I thought it was.
Especially not now you've just explained the entire joke.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. It's a period film. It's about a man growing potatoes, so it's not unlike The Martian. But it's The Martian for grown-ups.
Right. That should have been the review.
A Different Man, which we've mentioned already. Really, really great film. Roadhouse was so close to being in my top 5. I was so shocked by how much I enjoyed this.
Demoted because now it features a confirmed rapist.
Yeah.
Who was the worst part of the film already, I have to say.
So he's double the worst part of the film.
Yeah. They should just do a version where they edit somebody else's head onto his body. That might be watchable.
Who is Tig Notaro? Put Tig Notaro in it.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be epic.
I can actually watch that.
Yeah, I would watch that film again if they did that.
A couple of years, we'll be able to do that ourselves and watch
That's
it.
That's true, yeah.
I was expecting nothing from this. Like, I thought this was going to be awful. And you told me, you watched it again. It was when I was away. You watched it like, yeah, that's terrible.
It's garbage.
It's garbage. And I watched it and I was like, what are you talking about? This is a masterpiece. I thought it was great. I just enjoyed it. It was stupid, but I just thought it was so much fun. I loved seeing Jake Gyllenhaal slapping Colin McGregor about. And what's not to like about that?
That's true, yeah.
But you're right, he was the worst thing about that movie. So, yeah.
He's the worst thing about anything that he's involved in, generally.
Well, it's that, and does he do the ultimate fighting? Is that what he does?
Yes.
Something where he punches people. I've not seen anyone else talk about Ricky Snicky.
I don't think that's going to be bothering many people's top 5s. but was way funnier than it had any right to be.
Do.
Yeah, all right. John Cena's great.
John Cena is great. Unfortunately, he was also in Jackpot, which was in my worst of the year. But I really enjoyed this. I saw some pretty scathing reviews. But for me, like when I'm watching a comedy film, it doesn't need to be good. It doesn't need to have any sensible plot. It doesn't need to do any decent character work. It just needs to be funny. That's all that matters for me personally.
Okay.
And it was just, I just thought it was very funny. And comedy is very subjective. It's maybe the most subjective genre, right? Because what I find funny, someone else is going to think it's not funny at all.
The thing that reminds me how subjective comedy is how successful Mrs. Brown's Boys became. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Or Gavin and Stacey.
Or Gavin and Stacey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
But I really liked it. I thought it was very funny. It wasn't going to make my top 5, but I just thought it was a comedy that was very well done.
Was it the Farrellys?
I don't know, actually. Was it a Farrelly?
I feel like it might be.
I think they split up, didn't they? Like Bros.
The brothers.
Yeah. But like Bros, when Luke or Matt did
Bros.
Race 2.
I think you mean Bros.
The Bros, yeah. And the other one does things sometimes. What did you think of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
I thought it was all right, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
I enjoyed it while it was on, but it didn't leave a lasting impression like the original trilogy. You know what I mean? the first rebooted trilogy.
Yeah, the Matt
that
Reeves.
Tim Burton didn't go anywhere near.
Yeah, I forgot about the Tim Burton one. You're right. I really liked it. I enjoyed watching it. Quite keen to see where they go with this franchise.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I think we enjoyed it more than the average.
Yeah,
from what I've seen.
Yeah, and it had our boy in it, Terry Notary.
Yeah,
yeah. I got one more, and it had Glenn Powell in it. Which one do you think it was?
Twisters?
No, it wasn't.
Hitman?
Yeah, Hitman.
Really?
Honourable mention, yeah. I enjoyed Hitman more than I enjoyed Twisters.
That's insane.
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
I thought Hitman was okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Twisters. How did I enjoy Twisters more than you did? We're living on planet crazy.
I don't know. Maybe it was expectations a little bit because I'm very fond of the original Twister.
Or maybe you were just watching it going, well, none of these people are Bill Paxton. This is disappointing.
Yeah, but I do like Glenn Powell. Until I saw Anyone But You, obviously, of course. Which was terrible.
Speaking of, let's talk about our worst of the year. All
right, let's get to that. Have you got a list then? Have you got a list of your worst movies of the year?
Yeah. And I drew a little poo next to it.
I've had my glasses on.
With stink lines coming out of it. So I have 8 films on my shortlist. One of them is Anyone But You.
I thought that came out in 2023.
Did it?
Yeah.
I have 7 films on my list.
That's why it's not on my list. That's the only reason it's not on my list. But yeah,
so
horrible. In fact, that film was so bad that let's include it in our
that makes it every year, yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know what anyone got from that movie.
No.
I'm not a rom-com guy, I'll admit.
I sometimes am a rom-com girl, but that did not do a thing for me.
I'm a rom-com guy when the com is good. And
right.
I don't care.
You don't care about the rom. See,
if the com's good, I can overlook the rom.
Right.
But both the rom and the com
terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a crab in his shorts or something. I'm sorry. I don't understand what anyone got from that movie. I thought it was bad.
Agreed. So I have 2 Blumhouse films on my list. I've got Imaginary and Afraid. I didn't see Night Swim. It could have been 3. But I didn't watch that one.
You did see Night Swim?
No.
Okay.
Annoyingly, that's the one Blumhouse film I might have wanted to see this year because Wyatt Russell was in it. Wyatt Russell was not in either of these films.
Hence, they were bad.
Well, I think Night Swim's pretty bad from what I've heard.
Okay.
But yeah, Blumhouse, go home. You're drunk.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop now.
I never saw Imaginary.
Awful.
That's the bear one, isn't it?
I think...
That's not Paddington or Cocaine
Yeah.
Bear.
I think the purpose Imaginary could serve is maybe like intro horror for 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
That aren't old enough to watch The Exorcist yet.
Okay.
I don't know. Ease them in gently with something like that. Crap. That Afraid was just so forgettable. I think John Cho was in that.
Oh, yeah.
And he generally makes at least interesting decisions, but it was just bad.
Did he direct that as well, or was he just in it?
I don't think he directed it.
Okay.
I hope he didn't. Madam Web, obviously, it's boring, but it belongs on there.
Yeah.
Borderlands, again, just so disappointing. As a fan of the games, so disappointing, beyond belief.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. We spoke about the Borderlands on Patreon and Madam Web, actually, for that matter. Yeah, really terrible. Like,
I already disliked Eli Roth.
Yeah.
But now, it's on site.
It was just nothing, wasn't it? Like,
it was so forgettable.
It could have been something. Like, there's an interesting world there to build off of.
Mm-hmm.
But it just felt like every decision was the wrong decision.
Yeah. They made a bloodless adaptation of a really bloody video game.
Yeah.
They robbed it of all of the best humour, inserted Jack Black in there for some reason, and made the main character 50 instead of 25.
Which is fine.
But not when it's integral to the plot.
Yeah.
I love Cate Blanchett. I think she's phenomenal.
Yeah, but
she didn't belong in that role.
She did not. It was really miscast. And even like Gina Gershon,
and Jamie Lee Curtis.
And I'd completely forgotten she was even in it.
Like, people were joking online saying that Eli Roth's just got a gilf fetish.
Yeah.
Because it was bizarre.
Yeah. Bad.
Yeah. Tarot.
Don't you worry, I've written that down too.
So bad.
Yeah, that was shit. Like, I'd never heard of it. You're like, let's put this on. It's a new movie.
I'd heard it was terrible. I did at least preface with, I've heard this is really bad.
Yeah, and I was like, well, great, let's put it on there. Which I don't mind sometimes if it's entertainingly bad, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was nothing. Again, it was nothing.
Miller's Girl, which I watched without you.
Okay.
It was basically, you remember in the 90s?
Vaguely.
There was a spate of, like, how do I describe this? Kind of erotic thrillers.
Yeah. I remember
starring,
that.
but like starring much younger, not even women, girls, and much older men, like The Crush or Poison Ivy or, I don't know.
I actually don't remember any of this now.
Okay, well, it's a big thing in the 90s.
Okay.
And it was Jenna Ortega and Martin Freeman.
Oh.
That, yeah, exactly. What a romantic pairing.
Tim from The Office.
Yeah.
On Wednesday. No, thank you.
Obviously, the inappropriateness of that romantic connection is the kind of one of the points of the film.
Yeah.
But it was just so poorly written. It was kind of offensively bad. I don't really know what it was trying to say. It wasn't entertaining. It felt like it was 3 decades too late and would have worked if Rose McGowan had been in the main role 30 years ago.
Okay.
But it was just, like I felt I'd been personally insulted. Hated it.
Well, I'm glad that you watched that one without me.
Yeah.
Is that one that you put on, like, knowing that I wouldn't be interested in?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to watch this because Dan's not going to care.
Yeah, I'd heard it wasn't great,
like,
but I was unprepared for quite how bad it was.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that you did.
And then the last one, obviously, is Megalopolis.
Megaflopolis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not very good, that movie, was it?
No. What did you say something the other day? It was like 120 million Neil Breen film.
Yeah. It does feel like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's insane.
I'm amazed like Coppola wasn't in it, like trying to scale a building or something. Yeah, it was bad, man. And it's funny because I've done I've done a bit of research. I've looked at people's best of the year. I've looked at people's worst of the year, and Megalopolis has not really come up on either.
Seriously,
and it blows my mind because
this is the most walkouts I've ever seen in a cinema.
Yeah, that was that was so funny. Did we got quite drunk for that one?
We did. We had to.
We had to. Had we not? Well, if we didn't have a cinema passes, I don't think I'd have gone to see it.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, I suppose we probably would have gone to see it because we're like, we're such a huge fan of Francis Ford Coppola's Jack that we need to go see Megalopolis. So it was like, yeah, we need to get very drunk for this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was maybe half an hour in, 45 minutes in, an hour maybe, where the first people walked out. It was a couple maybe.
Yeah.
Another 10 minutes, another couple walked out. 10 minutes after that, a cloud turned into a hand and a man walked out. And I can understand why. Had we not been very drunk and have to review it for Patreon, I'm not sure I would have stayed.
I think I'd mentally checked out,
It was
if not
bizarre.
physically.
It was funny. It's weird because there's something in there where I was like, there's a thread of an idea in there that could be interesting.
But it's buried under a mountain of shit.
Yeah. No, the film is awful. It's terrible. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not defending the film. I'm saying that you could have made a good movie from this one very simple idea about, where we're going with culture, the people in charge. Is that the people with the most money, or is it like a monarchy thing? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
There's something there, but there were too many unusual things that happened in it. There were too many questions.
The script was atrocious.
It was awful.
And it was full of scumbags.
Yeah, it was, and that's the other thing. It was just a problem to watch.
But I read a thing the other day, and apparently Francis Ford Coppola kind of did that on purpose.
Really?
To like prove that people can't be cancelled or whatever. But I read about that in the same article that a bunch of the extras accused him of sexual harassment on set.
Right.
And there was video evidence as well. So
okay. Well, like I said, we did cover it in our Patreon, and I think that again, that was a bonus show actually, wasn't it? So you might have listened to that already, our thoughts on that movie. So maybe let's not try to rehash that too much, but it was fucking awful. A lot of people involved in that movie are pieces of shit. And
Adam Driver, we still like you though.
Well,
he's gone down in my estimation, don't get me wrong. He's redeemable though. And Aubrey Plaza.
I feel like Aubrey Plaza is someone that no matter what she does, I will still watch the next thing that she does.
I hope she was just like having fun the entire time, going, this is ridiculous.
There's a bunch of people involved with that movie. Like, a lot of people probably just decent people, ordinary people, whatever, especially the crew. But unfortunately, the things that stand out in that movie is they cast Dustin Hoffman, John Voight, with
Shia
LaBeouf. It was Shia LaBeouf, yeah. Oh my God, I completely forgot he was even in it. It's a problem. I can't understand why you would cast those people. And it definitely cast a disgusting mist of poo smells over the film. Megalopolis was also on my worst of the year, believe it or not.
Shocking.
Also was Tarot. Also was Borderlands. Also was Madame Web. Something that, actually, I think this was maybe 2023. I've written down, please don't destroy the legend of Foggy Nelson. But I think that
Foggy Nelson? Do you mean Foggy Mountain? Foggy Nelson's from Daredevil.
I've written down Foggy Nelson. But I think that came out last year.
It did.
So
Did you hate it that much?
I didn't. Okay, again, comedy
needs
to make me laugh. This did not make me laugh.
I think they're overrated, but they're on SNL, which is at best hit or miss for me.
At best, yeah.
At best, yeah.
I'm not a fan of SNL, but okay. Although, looking forward to that movie. Beetlejuice 2 I didn't think was very good.
No, I didn't either, but I don't think it's a worst of.
Maybe a bit harsh to put it on the worst of the year, but
it didn't do much for me.
Beetlejuice 1, the first Beetlejuice, is probably my favourite Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
And I don't really like much else that he's done. So I was
especially the racism.
I'm really,
vehemently against the racism.
I'm against. I don't know if I mentioned this. I'm against racism.
Yeah.
But yes, I was kind of excited to go and watch it, but it was just nothing again.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a complete waste of time. Joker 2, I maybe again didn't hate it as much as a lot of people, but was kind of disappointed by it.
I quite liked it.
I thought there was
no accounting for taste.
No, I thought there were parts of it that were good and parts of it that were fucking awful, and it kind of balanced out to be not great.
I kind of liked what Todd Phillips did there, but I realise and understand that I'm in the drastic minority there, and that's probably correct.
Do you remember watching Jackpot?
Vaguely.
That was bad.
That was John Cena and Awkwafina.
Yeah.
Oh, it rhymes. Who like independently I generally like.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that too. They're both done some. They're both very good comedic actors, actually. And I think again, this was one that you put on. Was like, oh, all right, it's a Friday. John Cena, Awkwafina comedy. Let's go for it. Horrible. I thought it was bad. I'm sorry.
It didn't really make either of us laugh very much, which, as you've sort of pointed out, is kind of the one thing a comedy has to do well.
Yeah.
But other people seem to enjoy it. So
really,
I think some people did. Yeah.
I don't think I looked into it at all. I wrote it down on my worst of the year and didn't think about it again after that. Do you remember watching No Way Up, shark movie?
Oh, God.
That
Yeah.
was pretty bad. Colin Meaney.
That was terrible.
Yeah, I thought that was bad. Not great. And I'm sort of a sucker for a shark movie.
Yeah.
And
It's got to be pretty bad to not be entertaining at all.
I will watch the worst shark movies and still be like, there's still a shark movie, and kind of enjoyed it. And it was kind of also a sort of a stuck in a place thing as well. So it was ticked a couple of boxes and still was pretty horrible, I thought.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Do you remember when Guy Ritchie wrote that movie all about sausages?
I do, and I remember making fun of it the entire way through.
Bad.
But then it didn't make my worst of the year.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because you forgot.
No, I
forgot
didn't.
it existed.
I didn't. I didn't
okay.
forget. To me, it's just not. It's not a Madam Web.
Yeah.
I got some enjoyment out of that, even if it was, in my own head making fun of Henry Cavill or whatever.
Yeah. No, I didn't enjoy that too much. The Holdovers.
You put that on your worst. Is that a joke?
So bored by it.
Dan. Also, I think that was last year.
No, it was this year for us.
Was it?
For us. I'm not going to talk about this too much because I'm very incorrect, because lots of people really liked it, but I couldn't tell you the amount of times I wanted to have a snooze in that movie.
Wow.
Boring.
I thought it was so charming.
Okay.
I like Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, he was in that movie. My last one is, we haven't seen it, but probably Craven.
It's such a shame as well, because for a long time I couldn't stand the sight of Aaron Taylor Johnson. I don't know why. It was just an irrational hatred, probably because of Ultron and that fucking Russian accent. He was a terrible Quicksilver.
It was a poorly written character, to be fair.
I think maybe that had a lot to do with it, if I'm thinking about it now.
Also, the problem with that was that it was terribly written, but all of his interactions were with Hawkeye. Who also we don't care about.
Arrow guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And then stuff like Bullet Train came out and I was like, oh, he's funny. Okay, maybe I like him now. And no, apparently.
No.
He's in 28 Years Later, though. Maybe he'll redeem himself next year.
He's in 28 Years Later. Yeah, so looking forward to that one. So just before we move on to actually what we're looking forward to next year, we need to award an award. Last year we awarded what we called our Jason Statham King of Turds award.
This wasn't a pre-planned thing.
No, we named it that last year.
Yeah.
And we've decided that we're going to do the same again this year. Named after the man Jason Statham, King of Turds award.
He wasn't even in the worst films. I gave The Beekeeper 2.5. The Beekeeper didn't even make my bottom 5.
Yeah, okay. We don't necessarily. The reason we gave it to Jason Statham last year is because he was in a Fast movie and other things.
The Meg 2 and Expendables. He had a terrible year.
Oh God, you're right. Really bad year. We know that's why we named the award after him. And this year we're going to give that award to a filmmaker.
A filmmaker?
Yeah, a filmmaker.
Oh, we're on the same page, are we? Because I've written a name down,
yeah,
but we haven't actually discussed it.
No, we're going to give it to a filmmaker. And that filmmaker is called Francis Ford Coppola. Yes.
You're reading it off my pad.
Reading it off your pad. Yeah, of course. Who else is it going to go to? Like your movie's so bad that no one wants to make it, and you've got to sell one of your vineyards. Firstly, let me just have a little cry for Francis Ford Coppola and play the little violin. It's so sad, isn't it? Don't make the movie, number one.
Yeah, maybe everybody refusing you funding is right this time, Frankie boy.
Sometimes the money people are right.
Yeah.
Just terribly conceived movie. Like, why would you do it?
Because they want to plunder the riches of his Emersonian mind. Honestly, some lines of dialogue from that movie are seared into my brain forever. They're so bad.
I noticed yesterday during my research for this, I put on. Did you know Rob Lowe has a podcast? Firstly,
everybody's got a podcast.
Of course, yeah.
I should have known.
It popped up on my recommended on YouTube, and it was Rob Lowe interviews Francis Ford Coppola. So I put it on ×2 speed, and I got through the first 7 minutes, and then just sort of really talked about Megalopolis and
so 14 minutes.
How great his mind is. Yeah. and then they moved on from it, so I switched it off. But he was trying to explain how brilliant it is, basically, and how
You can't just tell people that your own movie is brilliant when the world is against you.
Well, it was also saying like how, if you think about it, Adam Driver's character, who we all relate to, is very much like Elon Musk. I was like, well,
No, who relates to Elon Musk? Nobody.
Well, like-
Is there a less relatable man on this earth?
but then also he's going into things about how he thinks that he's got the humanity's best interests at heart, and that sort of thing, and it just completely lost me and was part of the reason why I switched it off.
You
But
think when Elon Musk fucks off to whatever planet he's going
Mars.
to repopulate, he's going to take any of us with him? He doesn't give a shit about the common man.
no. But to see him try and defend it as well was interesting. And I thought about, I don't think this movie has been reviewed harshly enough. Like, sometimes I feel bad about shitting on a movie so
I don't,
much.
not when it's a sex pest enabler and reported sex pest himself.
Yeah, sometimes I feel bad about shitting on a movie so much, especially if it's someone like a filmmaker that you like and respect and they're trying to do something good. But when it comes to this movie, I think we should be as harsh as we possibly can, because it was terrible for a start. It doesn't make any sense. It was clearly like an ego thing. Like, people were telling him, don't make this movie, don't make this movie. And he's like, I'm going to fucking make this movie. I'm going to sell a vineyard to make it. And yeah, I just don't understand why you would just go through with it.
I get what you're saying. I don't like to shit on movies when it's clearly a passion project, which this was. But I think it's a bit different to sort of be critical of a film that somebody's been trying to make for God knows how many years and they've been struggling to get funding. And it's another one. It's Francis Ford Coppola,
Yeah.
who's clearly just gotten high on the smell of his own farts over the last 30 years and thinks that this is a good idea and that everybody else is wrong,
Yeah.
but he's correct.
Yeah.
No, stop making films.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, so Jason Statham, King of the Turds Award, goes to Francis Ford Coppola.
And it was no contest this year.
No, it wasn't even close,
It
was
was
it?
an easy one.
So, with all that negative stuff out of the way, I think we're sort of reaching the end now, but looking forward to 2025, we've got a few movies that I think are worth mentioning. Quite an exciting year, I think.
Okay.
I didn't realise how many sequels were coming out in 2025. I've written down some sequels for you.
Is
okay?
one of them Megalopolis too?
Yeah, how did you guess?
Oh, fuck.
But I'm gonna burn through this, right? So we've got Captain America: Brave New World.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Thunderbolts.
Yep.
Which is a sequel.
I'm probably more excited about that than you are.
Probably. Fantastic Four.
Meh.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Okay.
28 years later.
hmm
Freakier Friday.
Oh, my God.
Wicked 2.
No.
Avatar 3.
Oh, hell no.
Knives Out 3.
Oh, my God.
Karate Kid Legends.
I'm so tired.
Nobody 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Ballerina.
Is that a John Wick thing?
Yeah, with
Mm.
Anna Paris.
Diarmas.
Diarmas. I Know What You Did Last Summer for some reason.
What? A remake?
I believe it's a sequel because Freddie Prinze Jr. is in it.
Oh, fuck off. Stop it.
Jurassic World Rebirth.
No.
Meg 3 Gun 2.
Nope.
Den of Thieves 2.
Oh, what's happening?
Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Stop this madness immediately.
Now You See Me 3. Zootopia 2.
Oh, my God.
They should have called it Zootopia.
It was right there.
Tron Ares. Ares? It's got Leto in it, so not that excited about it.
No.
Black Phone 2.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Oh, my God.
The Conjuring 17.
Is this a joke?
No. It sounds like a joke, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're getting to the end now. Final Destination 6. Downton Abbey 3. 3!
I've got nothing to contribute. I'm just sitting here rolling my eyes at this point.
The Passion of the Christ 2.
One of these is not real. Can you guess which?
Side question. What do you think that is called?
The Passion of the Christ 2. Electric Boogaloo.
No.
I don't know.
Resurrection.
That's not real.
Yeah, it's real.
That's not real.
You tell that to Mel Gibson.
Are you shitting me?
No.
You didn't throw that in as a joke.
No. It's real. It's real. Yeah. I know.
Oh my God.
The Accountant 2.
Oh, you're still going.
Bridget Jones 3 or 4 at this point. I'm not sure.
I don't give a shit.
Last one, Thanksgiving 2.
I'm so tired, Dan.
How many sequels are coming out this year? How crazy is that?
I'm so tired.
I had no idea.
Queens of the Dead is coming out.
I don't know what that is.
It's a film where drag queens and LGBTQ plus people are fighting zombies.
Fighting zombies, right? Yeah, I knew it was going to be Off the Dead thing.
Yeah,
you said Off the Dead.
And Katie O'Brien's in it.
Oh, okay. I've not heard of that. That sounds reasonably exciting to me.
It sounds like significantly more exciting than anything you just reeled off,
Well,
with the
apart from
possible
Captain
exception of
America.
Nobody 2.
Yeah, there's loads in there that I'm excited about, just not Downton Abbey 3. Right, so Bong Joon-ho finally releasing Mickey 17 next year. Yorgos Lanthimos has got another movie out next year. Can you believe it? Called Begonia.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro has done his version of Frankenstein, which could be interesting.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Edgar Wright is remaking The Running Man.
I heard about that as well.
With Glenn Powell. Seen shooting in Scotland. Reasonably excited. Well, I wouldn't give a fuck about it, but Edgar Wright's doing it, so it's probably going to be good.
Yeah.
But is it going to be great? That's the question.
Who knows?
Running Man I quite like, but it's not, it's not a great movie. It's okay. F1 is probably my most anticipated movie of next year.
Yeah, of course it is.
There's a Superman movie coming out by James Gunn.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sold on a trailer, but I'll go and watch it. And it's Gunn, so I'll just go and watch it. The Naked Gun, quite excited about that. Akiva Schaffer.
Is this the one? Is Liam Neeson in it?
Yes, I believe
and
so.
Pamela Anderson.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Again, wouldn't give a shit about it, but when you say Liam Neeson, like, yeah, I can see that, and Pamela Anderson, yeah, I can see that, and Akiva Schaffer, I think it's going to be funny.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Lastly, Lee Winnell finally is releasing Wolfman next year.
Oh, yeah, that's in January, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously Nosferatu, which we've already spoken about earlier, which is coming out very, very early on next year. Yeah, and that's about it really. It's coming out next year. I've got a couple of others, but we've been talking for ages now, so I think
I need a wee and a drink and to lie down, I think.
Yeah, all right.
And to go back to penning hate letters to Francis Ford Coppola, of course.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, thanks for joining us on this end of year show. We are going to be back on January the 6th with our Coming of Cage season.
It's not called Coming of Cage.
It's called Coming of Cage. I would say it. January 6th, we're back with our first episode in our Coming of Cage season. 8 movies, 8 weeks. First movie, Vampire's Kiss.
All Nicolas Cage, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm quietly excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's my season, so I'm very excited. I can't wait. There's a really good lineup of films there, even if I do say so myself. And if you would like to see what the lineup is, then the only place you can see that is on our free tier over on Patreon. So sign up to that. It won't cost you any money.
Free, you say?
Free tier, yeah. And if you like what you see, maybe try out the £3 a month tier where we review new movies every month. But just saying. Start off with a free one, dip your toe in, and then just see what we're posting.
And then bung us a couple of quid, because we worked really hard this year.
Yeah, it's Christmas and we're still working.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you join us next year.
Yeah.